If you speak English and can write a simple email, I will show you the fastest and easiest way to go from $0 to $10,000 a month in 90 days or less, no bullshit, in this free 3-hour course. I will walk you through exactly how to get 2K, 3K, even $5,000 a month copywriting clients on autopilot. In fact, would you believe me if I told you that with under $300 and a single weekend of work, you could build an entirely automated client getting machine that would feed you a never-ending stream of qualified high-level business owners who are interested in hiring you as a copywriter, booking into your calendar every single day on complete autopilot. That is right, I am talking zero manual prospecting, no more spending hours, days, weeks searching for prospects on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, no more manually sending dozens and hundreds of cold DMs only to be ignored and rejected again and again to the point of wanting to literally throw your laptop in the bin and completely give up. Trust me, I've been there and it sucks. But that all ends today because you made the very wise decision to click on this video and the source that is in here you will not find in any other copywriting or client getting course or from any YouTube copywriting guru. I guarantee that. And I can say that with extreme conviction because this is the exact same strategy that I've used to help 63 ordinary people make a 6-figure income from home. 6 of them even make 7 figures and hundreds of more quit their jobs and make a full-time income writing 2 to 3 emails a day from home. People like James, who went from literally fired from McDonald's and dumped by his girlfriend in the same week, ouch, to making literally more than both of his parents combined within 90 days. People like Ray, who were made redundant from his 9-to-5, had 30 days to pay his mortgage payment or he would be deported back to Singapore. He learned copywriting from complete scratch and within 30 days was making $10,000 a month. 2 years later, he's making over $2 million a year with his agency. Luca, a 16-year-old high school student, went from 0 to 10K a month in 25 days while still going to school every single day. Absolutely insane. Yasmin, she was an Uber driver, an immigrant from Brazil, knew nothing about copywriting, now making a solid $8,000 every single month within just 3 months of starting. Hell, we have Logan, who went from literally homeless to making 6 figures within 6 months. He has literally such a crazy story that the Daily Mail, the biggest publication in Australia, actually wrote an article about him. You can check it out right there. Listen, I could go on and on. In fact, I have literally a camera roll full of 700 more screenshots just like this in my phone. Not to mention, I've used the exact same email formula that I'm about to show you to make nearly $4 million for myself in my own business as my side hustle, okay? And I really want to stress that. This system that I'm about to show you was born out of necessity to be as time efficient as possible because when I started as a copywriter 7 years ago, I was working 2 jobs, one at a warehouse during the week. I was a wedding DJ on weekends. I was studying 2 degrees at the same time, don't ask me why, and a diploma at the same time, dual bachelor degree of mechanical engineering and business management, and a diploma of audio and acoustic engineering, while also going to gym 6 days a week, learning music, DJing, learning copywriting, trying to get clients, and maintaining a pretty active social and dating life. So needless to say, I didn't exactly have an abundance of free time to spend all day sending cold DMs, okay? Now, if you're wondering how I managed to juggle all of that at the same time, lots of stimulants and not a lot of sleep is the answer. Not health advice, by the way. The point here is everything that I have built, the millions I've made, these ClickFunnels awards behind me, right? Moving into this gorgeous beachfront, oceanfront apartment, buying my dream car, traveling to over 50 countries, performing at some of the biggest dance music clubs and festivals in the world, transforming the lives of over 700 people was all done as my side hustle. I am still a full-time artist, a music producer, I'm a DJ, this is my studio, right? That's my main thing. And this multi-7-figure business is my side hustle. And while people like Gary Vee and Alex Hormozy will tell you that you need to manually send 100 cold emails a day until your eyes start bleeding and your fingers snap, unless you're an unemployed teenager with no responsibilities, most of us don't have the luxury of having 8 spare hours a day to send cold DMs. If you implement the strategies in this free training, in this free course, you are literally 90 days away from completely changing your life forever. If you have just $300 for these 3 tools, you can take 40 hours a week of manual, time-consuming prospecting, put it all on autopilot using the tools that I'm about to show you. It quite literally does not get easier than this. But before we dive in, this is actually part 6 of an 8-part series on how to go from $0 to $10,000 a month as a copywriter. Yes, I uploaded this one without a 7-month wait time. Good job, Sean. I'm very proud of myself. So if you have not yet watched parts 1 to 5, I need you to stop right now. Go watch the earlier modules in this series in order for you to get the most out of this, okay? Because this training assumes you already have some basic level of copywriting skills. You've already chosen your niche, your service, your offer. You already have your social site and calendar set up, and you have at least $300 that you can use to get started with this. Don't have $300 to build a machine that will save you 40 hours a week, then either you don't value your time at all, or you're balling on a budget, which, hey, I completely understand. Like I said, 6 years ago, I was working in a warehouse for minimum wage. I had $29 to my name. I was living off of bananas and canned tuna. So trust me when I say I get it. So if that's you, Tuna Gang represent, smash the like button below. I want you to jump back one video in this series, watch part 5, which is a full deep dive on how to land high-paying copywriting clients for free. The strategies in that video are either completely free or extremely cheap. They just take time and some good old elbow grease. So if you have no money, but you have time, that's the video for you. But if you have at least $300 and 2 days to set this up, grab a notepad, grab a pen, close Facebook, close Pornhub, red shirt in the back. Don't think I don't see you, okay? You're disgusting. Put it away. No one wants to see that. Save that for a Tyson 40 Discord server or something. And with that horrendous mental image out of the way, let's get stuck in. Okay guys, I'm gonna level with you. It is currently 4:59 a.m. No, I have not yet slept. And yes, I am once again leaving for the airport in 4 hours. Seems to be a common trend with these videos. Don't ask me why. Don't hate the player, hate the game. With that said, welcome to 0 to 10K a month copywriter series part 6. This is going to be the longest, the juiciest module, possibly, I don't want to brag, but possibly the most valuable video ever posted to the internet. All right. We are going to be talking about how to land high paying copywriting clients on autopilot. And oh my goodness, this is a fucking beast of a document. 59 pages. I shit you not. I have spent the last week doing nothing but putting this together. So, whew, you're in for a treat. Quickly, to recap, to summarize everything we have been over, right? This is part 6 of this series. Part 0, we covered what is copywriting in case you're brand new to this planet and this is your first introduction. In video 1, we talked all about where to learn the skill of copywriting. Part 2, we talked all about the setup, setting up your website, your social media, your calendar link, and so on. Part 3 was all about farming. This is setting Facebook up in such a way that high-paying clients can come to you rather than you coming to them. Part 4, kind of unofficial. That was all about how to land your very first client. A nice little 20-minute crash course. And then Module 5, personalized outreach. That was an absolute beast of a video. And over an hour long, tons of views. I got so much positive feedback from that video. But trust me, if you thought that one was valuable, you ain't seen shit yet, all right? Just wait for this one. So, part 6, automated outreach. And then the next video, we're gonna talk about how to actually audition prospects, how to get them on a call, and then all the way through to closing the deal in the final video in part 8. So, let's get stuck in. First thing you gotta understand is that every business has 3 parts, right? There's marketing, there's sales, and there is fulfillment. Now, no matter how good you are at what you do, if no one knows you exist, you will not get paying clients, okay? You need to put yourself out there. You need to be proactive. There are so many freelancers that try and skip this whole like client getting part and literally just hope that they'll become like so good at copywriting that clients are just gonna magically seek them out and fall into their lap, okay? Now, hate to break it to you, but That's not how this works, okay? So not only is that very rare, but to be honest, you're literally missing out on like 2/3 of the skills that it takes to run a successful freelancing business, right? And that is marketing and sales. Now, you might think, oh, I already know marketing and sales. I'm a copywriter, right? I would argue you don't truly know something until you've actually done it yourself, okay? Another common objection that I might get to this is cold DMs, cold emails, they don't work. I've tried that, all right? Here's the truth. They only work if you work, right? You can't climb the ladder of success with your hands tied behind your back, right? So there are 4 main ways to get clients. If we really boil this down, the first way to get clients of any kind is your network, right? Getting introductions to people, affiliates, that type of thing. The second way you can go about getting clients is your audience, right? An email list, social media, that type of stuff. Number 3, ads and funnels. I do a lot of that. Very cool. And the 4th way is cold outreach, right? Now, this video, of course, is all about cold outreach, but quick caveat before we get into it is the golden rule is, if at all possible, if you can get an introduction from a friend, from someone who knows the prospect, from someone who knows the person you're trying to reach out to, always do it, okay? Now, assuming you've tried that, assuming you also don't have an ad budget or a giant social media following, then that kind of rules out most of these, and we're really going to only be left with one option, which is option 4, and that is cold outreach. That is what we're going to be talking about today, right? Now, typically, as soon as I say that, people roll their eyes and go, oh man, cold outreach, yeah, fuck that, I've tried that, doesn't work, blah, blah, blah. Because you're doing it wrong, because you haven't seen this video, right? Trust me. Yeah. By the end of this video, oh my God, you're going to have a very different opinion. So we're going to turn you from this guy over to this guy. The truth is, most people hate cold outreach, and I don't blame them, right? It is so time consuming, painstaking, it's tedious, it's demotivating, it's full of rejection, and it leads to ultimately no results. If you do it like most people do it, which is totally wrong, okay? However, when done correctly, cold outreach can literally hold the keys to getting almost everything you have ever wanted in life. I promise. I personally have used cold outreach to not just land 4 to 5 figure copywriting and coaching clients, right? But used it to literally connect and collaborate with some of the industry's most famous and successful people. Alex Hormozi, Alan Sultanich, Bedros Keuilian, Dan Locke, Jason Capital, Elliot Holst, Daniel Throssell, all from cold outreach, right? I've landed literally multiple releases on the world's biggest dance music labels. Sony. Heard of that one? Yeah, thought so. Spinnin, Revealed. Guess what? Cold emailed my way into their networks. I've played shows at dream festivals and nightclubs all over the world, right? Ultra Music Festival. I've played in the US, played in the Netherlands, Ibiza, Hong Kong, Albania, Australia. Yes, by the way, in case this is our first time meeting, I am also a full-time artist, DJ, and music producer. This whole copywriting coaching thing is actually just my side hustle, which, fun fact, is actually what led me to develop this entire system, because I do this on the side. I run a 7-figure coaching business on the side. Therefore, I have to be very efficient with my time. And that is exactly what I'm trying to give you today, is my exact system as to how I managed to juggle all of this together. I've used cold outreach to date women, quote unquote, out of my league, right? Score free supplements, flight upgrades, hotel deals, and perks, and literally sell my car for like 40% more than it was worth. So here's the truth. Here's what I'm getting at, right? Literally everything that you ever want in life is already in the hands of someone else. It's already in the hands of a stranger. The more strangers you talk to, the more money you will make. Period. Okay? I know we were told growing up, like, don't talk to strangers, it's bad, strangers are bad. Not true at all. Okay, literally being able to get the attention of anyone on the planet and put your offer in front of them is literally the most powerful skill you could ever possess. Mastering the craft of cold outreach will, number 1, make you a way better marketer because you're studying dozens of funnels. Okay, you're seeing what's working. Number 2, it's going to give you peace of mind and security of income should you ever lose a client. And then number 3, frankly, it's just going to make you a much better, more resilient, more disciplined entrepreneur. And let me prove to you that cold outreach is quite literally the most powerful skill you could ever possess. Okay. Now, I don't want to brag, maybe a little bit. I'm shit at a lot of things. Do not ask me to cook you food. Don't ask me to surf. Don't ask me to be on time to anything ever. I am fucking incapable of all of the above. However, if there is one thing on this planet that I am fucking good at, it is getting high-paying copywriting clients, more specifically through cold email. So these are just a couple screenshots that I've taken from some of my Resistance members. Essentially, this is my super high-level program where I work closely in depth with people for an entire year. And I write or rewrite a lot of their cold outreach sequences for them. And part of that year-long mentorship involves me writing or co-writing their cold outreach sequences for them. So as you can see, some screenshots. Bro, you just made it 100 times better. This one's from Jace, right? He's like, you always think of the best things to say. It amazes me. Sometimes I come up with good ideas. Literally everything you write fits in so well for cold emails. I don't know how you do it. I know how I do it. Guess what? 6 years of experience doing this every day. That's how. And then here's what's cool, right? So this is Jace, one of our new Resistance guys. I literally rewrote his entire cold outreach sequence the next day, sent it out, booked a call with the CFO for Monday, and then boom, as you can see, had the call on Monday, closed his first client for $3K a month. Like, this shit works, all right? I'm telling you. Some more booms. This is Dev from India, right? Literally use this exact cold outreach system that I'm about to show you to close another client for $1,300 a month and bring his income up to $5K a month, right? Literally he's made $16K so far in the last 4 months since he's joined CMB. Do the maths in India, 16K, that goes a long way, all right? Yasmin, right there. She's an immigrant from Brazil, right? Literally half these people don't even fucking speak English as their first language, and they're still absolutely crushing it with this. Check this out. Literally went from driving Uber to landing $4,000 deals within literally like a matter of weeks of joining CMB, right? Never made so much money in 7 days. Kyle, there's Kyle, made 10 grand in the last month. He's been in CMB with us for a year or so, absolute rock star. And there's Alex, right? 20K collected with one of these offers so far, 100% from cold email. By the way, fun fact, this strategy that he is using is quite literally exactly the strategy that I taught for free on YouTube right there. As you can see, 5 months ago, he's one of the only people who watched this video. 4,000 people who watched this video is one of the only people that actually applied what I talked about in the video and used it successfully. He's literally made 20 grand from it. While, you know, fucking 4,099 people did absolutely nothing, right? So shit works, right? There's Priyank. Hey, wanted to give you an update. Made 21K last month as a freelance copywriter. The dude is literally making like 30, 40K pops writing sales letters in the French market. It's absolutely insane. You know, now he's able to travel the world, visit his family. He's just moved to Miami, like all literally because of CMB and because specifically of what he's been able to accomplish with the cold email systems and strategies that we teach in the program, which is exactly what I am going to be giving you right here in this video. So let's get into it. So what's the secret, right? Am I some kind of cold email magician? How are people getting all of these results? What's going on here? You got to understand, success with cold outreach literally all comes down to sending the right message to the right person at the right time. That is all it is, right? Cold outreach is 100%. It is a game of numbers and it's a game of timing. You got to remember, right? This is something that they call the larger market formula. Now, these numbers will vary. You know, some people say 2%, 5%, 10%, whatever. The general idea is that you have to remember only about 3 to 7% of prospects are actually in the market to buy right now. So whatever it is. Now, there have been tons of studies done on this. The most notable one was about a group of people, thousands of people who expressed interest in buying furniture, right? So they all went to this furniture conference and they essentially found that around 50% of the people who went to the conference literally never intended on buying any furniture at all. Just complete tire kickers, waste of time. You know, they didn't have anything better to do that day. The girlfriend dragged them along or whatever. Basically, waste of time, they're tire kickers, right? Half the people that you contact, that you reach out to are never going to buy from you, probably never from anyone, okay? So just forget about them. Now, that leaves us with another 50%. There are about 7%, maybe 3 to 7% of people who we call the now buyers. These people are actually looking to buy at some point in the next 90 days. Now, how that corresponds to you as a copywriter, that means that literally only 3 to 7% of the entire market, which is a big market, by the way. There's 330 million companies in the world and all of them need a copywriter. So do the maths on that, right? But only about 3 to 7% of them are actually looking to hire a copywriter in the next 3 months. That means that about 42% of people are looking to buy at some point, not right now, but later in the next 3 months to 18 months. So knowing that, we have to go into this with the mentality knowing that literally our maximum success rate is capped at only 3 to 7% of prospects, which is why I'm such a big advocate on farming and building up your own audience and internet presence, which is all of what we covered in module 4. So if you have not watched that, stop this video, pause it, go back and watch the series in order, because that's how a series works, okay? So let's talk about cold outreach. There are 2 types of cold outreach: manual and automated. Manual, obviously personalized outreach, is exactly what we covered in the last video, in the last module. If you haven't seen it, definitely go back and check it out. Now, there's definitely pros and cons of each one, and different approaches are going to appeal to different people. And what I want to do quickly is show you which one you should use based on your personal situation. So the advantages of manual, well, the cost. It's free, right? Or it's very cheap. You can also get hyper targeted and personalized on exactly who you're reaching out to, seeing as you're reaching out to people one-on-one, right? It's also an incredible way to do market research because of how much manual time and effort that goes in to diagnosing, looking at everyone's funnels, looking at everyone's email sequences. So you learn so much about your target market as well. The cons of manual, obviously, it is extremely time consuming to send hundreds and thousands of cold emails and TMs, right? One at a time. And to be honest, the rejection can be pretty disheartening. So that's manual. Let's talk about automated. Obviously the pros, it is a super low time investment in comparison to the manual approach, right? It runs on basically autopilot. Once you set it up, it's like set and forget, does its thing, books you calls on autopilot every single day. Once you set it up, you literally don't have to do anything, and it's a fucking dream, okay? The second main advantage is that obviously it's a lot more scalable as well, okay? You can contact literally 100 times more people, 100 times faster, because you have systems that are doing the heavy lifting and not you. Now, there are a few cons, and that is going to be, it does take a little bit of time up front to set up, because we essentially have to build a cold outreach system, but once it's up and running, it's all smooth sailing from there. The second con is that these tools aren't free, okay? There are some software costs involved in setting the system up. Not too much, we're only talking a few $100, but if you're on a shoestring budget, then this may not be feasible for you. So depending on your situation and your actual desired outcome, there's really 3 main approaches that we can take when it comes to cold outreach. I have nicknamed these the engineer, the heavy, and the sniper. If you ever played TF2 on Steam back in the day, you know what's up. So quick explanation. The engineer, this is the AI outreach machine. And this is exactly what we're going to be covering in this module right here. So the analogy here, basically the engineer is not running around shooting people and stuff, right? He just builds a sentry gun, builds a system that does all the heavy lifting for him. It identifies and shoots people on autopilot, and he just kicks back, plays the guitar. It's pretty chill, right? That's what we're going to be covering in this module. The second approach is going to be the heavy, right? That is guerrilla outreach. So it's essentially this guy here with his giant ass minigun, and he's just shooting a lot of bullets, but they're manually aimed and they're manually shot one at a time. Then third one, if there are prospects you are dying to write for, then the sniper approach is going to be the best approach for that. That is essentially one shot, one kill, hyper targeted, hyper personalized. And the way we do that is with something called the WOW package, which I've already covered right here in this free YouTube video right there, if you want to check it out. So out of these 3 approaches, which one should you pick? Introducing the whaleometer, trademarked, not really. However, I think this is a pretty good visual representation of what I'm trying to get at here. So all the way on the left, we have fully automated, minimal personalization. It is the lowest effort approach, the most automated. That is going to be the AI outreach machine / engineer. That is exactly what we're going to be covering in this module right here. Moving along, right in the middle, we have the heavy. So you can see the whale's getting a little bit bigger, right? So this is essentially you build a dream 100 list of prospects, people you'd love to work with, and you hand select them and you reach out to them in a personalized way in the exact fashion that I showed you in the last video. And then all the way over there on the right, that is going to be the sniper approach. That is super personalized. It's the highest effort, but that is reserved only for the biggest and best whales. So if there is people in the industry 8, 9-figure whales, like giant clients, like absolute dream clients you'd love to work with, like literally the biggest names in your space. If there's people you really want to write for, you want to go for the sniper approach. If you don't really care and you're just like, dude, I just want to make money, I don't really care who it comes from, then you might want to consider the automated approach here on the left. If you're somewhere in the middle, then the heavy/personalized outreach approach is probably the best one for you. There you can see a very real life image of me fishing for a whale. Now, what I generally recommend you do is start with the manual outreach. So right here in the middle, the heavy approach, guerrilla outreach. And the reason being is because you want to learn the specific pain points and the offers that resonate with your target market. And then you want to scale that up with the automated tools. So in an ideal world, you would send at least 50 to 100 personalized outreach messages, aka the heavy approach there, to test different angles, different pain points, benefits, offers, and guarantees. And then that way, once you know what works, then you can put things on autopilot and then build and craft one of these campaigns, let it run, and then quite literally just like kick back while calls get booked for you. Pretty fucking cool. However, in the wise words of Gandhi, sometimes ain't nobody got time for that shit, okay? So if you are super busy and you literally need to land paying clients like yesterday fast, you can set the AI outreach machine up first and then utilize the heavy and the sniper strategies while that runs on autopilot. So there's no need to only pick one of these strategies. You can run all 3 of them simultaneously. And what I'm going to recommend is that you set this up first, you get it up and running. So then when it runs on autopilot, then any extra time that you have left over in your day, you can spend doing one of these 2 approaches here. So let's get stuck in. Introducing the AI outreach machine. Trademarked, not really. This system, actually, credit where credit is due, was developed by my friend and ex-student, now my head CMB resistance coach, Lucas Trosowicz. There he is, the man, the myth, the legend. So quick background, Lucas actually joined us in CMB around 3 years ago. He became so good at cold outreach that he was literally hired by Uber and multiple other Fortune 500 companies to do B2B sales, book meetings, and close large 6 to 7 figure deals with cold email. So literally Uber hired him to like go and headhunt other CEOs and other stuff like that and close massive deals for them. That's how good he was at cold outreach. So that's how this whole thing started. And then in the process, we've basically invented a bulletproof cold outreach system that has since been battle tested. It's been refined over the last 3 to 4 years to book hundreds of calls and close literally, I would say tens of millions of dollars at this point for not only him, me, but all of our CMB members. So I think it's enough teasing. Let's get stuck in. So quick overview. This right here is your 6 steps to 6 figures. And this is the exact approach that I'm going to be revealing in this video on literally how to take you from 0 to 10K a month as a freelance copywriter. The 6 steps are stack, search, scrape, screen, script, and send. Totally came up with that myself. Definitely did not use ChatGPT for any help with that at all. Anyways, moving on. So step 1, we're going to stack. That means we're going to build your cold email tech stack. What are the tools that you need to use? We're going to cover that in the first section. Second section is going to be search. This is all about researching your ideal target prospect, an extremely important step that you cannot skip. Step 3, we're going to scrape a mass lead list of targeted prospects. Step 4, screen. Then we are going to extract, filter, and format the data from the giant lead list that we've scraped. Step 5, script. That is where you actually go ahead and you write your 5 email outreach sequence. And then step 6, that's my favorite one. It's because it's the one that makes you money. That is when you load into the automated sending software and you launch. So let's get stuck in. Step 1, stack, building your cold email tech stack. In order to make this system work, there are a few tools and softwares that you're going to need to use that are going to do the heavy lifting for you. So I'm going to walk you through exactly A to Z, what they are, what you need to sign up for, what you don't need, and how much everything costs. So step 1 is your sending domains. What you want to do to kickstart this entire process is you're going to go to GoDaddy or wherever you buy your domains from. You're going to buy 5 sending domains. All that means is just buy 5 domains, okay? These will set you back. Wait for it. Try not to fall off your chair, okay? A whopping $2 each. And they will renew at $20 or $30 a year or something after that. But let's be real. You actually follow this system, you are going to be making so much money next year. $20 to $30 is just going to be a fucking rounding error. Okay. It's not going to be important. So $2 each up front. And then what we want to do is create a Google Workspace account for each of those domains. Now, each Google Workspace account that you need is going to be $7.20 a month. As of right now, maybe they change, maybe they could go higher or lower in the future, but it's 25th of April, 2024 right now. That is the price. So why do you need multiple sending domains? What are these sending domains? What is this about? The reason is because we don't want to be sending cold emails from your primary domain. So for example, my website is SeanFerres.com. There it is right there in all its glory. It is like super old and really needs updating, but that's not important. So imagine my primary email was like Sean@SeanFerres.com. It's not, but let's pretend it is. So if I were to send cold emails from Sean@SeanFerres.com, what could potentially happen is very bad things. So if I send a super high volume of emails, then it only takes a few people to be having a bad day and report me as spam. And then potentially in the worst case scenario, my domain could actually be blacklisted, which would mean that essentially my entire domain of SeanFerres.com and any email and anything connected to that would completely be disabled, gone forever. Okay, it means my website wouldn't work, my Stripe wouldn't work, bad things. Okay, so that's why we have dedicated sending domains. We don't want to use your main domain. The second reason, like, why do we need 5? Like, what's with that, right? So there's a limit of really realistically about 50 to 100 emails that you can actually send per day per domain. If you try and send more than that, like if you're trying to send thousands of emails a day from one single email address, you are going to go to spam straight up. Okay. So the real limit is about 50 to 100. And that's why we need multiple of these domains to actually be able to send more than 50 to 100. And the coolest part is that the more domains you have means the more emails you can send, means the more money you can make. The best part, the thing I love the most about cold outreach is that it is infinitely scalable. It is literally the only client acquisition system in the entire world that scales infinitely linearly, right? Think about it. Let's say on Instagram right now, you're trying to send DMs, you're trying to get clients. You can send like what, 30 DMs a day before you get blocked? If you wanted to make 100 times more money, you can't jump in and start sending 3,000 DMs a day. Okay, you're going to get action blocked. You're going to get thrown into Instagram jail, and that's the end of it, right? Same thing with ads, right? Let's say you're spending $1,000 a day on ads. You're getting leads for $5 per lead. You can't just 100x your ad budget overnight, or your cost per lead is going to go to shit, right? Anyone who's ever run Facebook ads knows that. As you scale, the cost increases. Cold outreach is literally the only client acquisition method where you can scale infinitely, linearly to the moon. And there is no limit on how many domains you can buy, how many emails you can send. There are people that make 10, $100 million a year simply with cold emails because they have like 200 sending domains, okay? So that's why we have multiple of them. So for example, let's say my primary domain was SeanFerres.com, like I just showed you. So what I would do is I would go to GoDaddy and I would buy 5 different variants of SeanFerres.com. So for example, I could have SeanFerresOfficial.com, SeanFerresCopy.com, SeanWritesCopy.com, SeanMAFerres.com, right? Insert my middle name initials. Not telling you what they are, that's a secret. Try companyname.com, right? Try SeanFerres.com or whatever. Companynamedemo.com. There's like infinite variables that you could do. You could even do the same thing with like .com.au or .co.uk or .net or whatever. Preferably you want a .com, but it should not be too difficult to find 5 variants of your main domain. The next bit is what you want to do is you want to go to Google Workspace, right? It used to be called G Suite, now called Google Workspace. And you're going to want to create one email alias for each of those domains. What is an alias? Very simple. It's just the thing before the @ symbol, right? So if my domain was SeanFerres.com, or let's say Sean@SeanWritesCopy.com. All you're going to do is you're going to create essentially whatever your name is. So name at yourdomain.com for each of the 5 that you just made. One email for each domain. That is all you need. Go into your Gmail settings, add a profile picture to each email account. Okay, you want to be looking like a real person here. We're going to be sending emails from this. So make sure that you don't just have like some blank profile picture. Okay, we want to be showing our prospects that we're a real person here. Next step is we want to jump into Google Workspace and you want to connect all of your new domain DNS records to Google Workspace from GoDaddy. Now, this sounds a little bit technical. This honestly is probably the most technical, hardest, most like tech savvy part that you have to do, but there is literally a step-by-step guide right here from Google that walks you through A to Z how to do it. It's really not too difficult. I get maybe that some people, maybe actually had friends in high school and didn't like spend all their free time like coding websites and shit like me. So, maybe it won't come as naturally to you because you weren't a fucking loser in high school like me, but really follow the instructions. You should not have a hard time connecting that up. And then last step is you want to set up domain forwarding to forward all of these domains to your main website. Now, the reason behind that is because let's say you email a prospect from Sean Writes Copy, Sean@SeanWritesCopy.com. Well, a lot of people before they decide to reply to you or not are going to copy paste that, put it into Google and see, is this guy real? Do they have a website, right? Do they look legit? And if it just goes to a blank, 404 error page or something like that, it's not really the best look for you, okay? So it's very simple. You just go to GoDaddy, you set up domain forwarding, and you can forward these all to your primary domain, to your card website. Remember that card website that you set up in module 3, which you did, right? Yes, good. If not, go back and watch the series in order and actually implement it this time. You should have a card website and then you should forward them all to your website. Pretty simple stuff. Very nice. Okay, moving on. The second tool that we need is our warming and sending software. Now, we can't just buy a bunch of domains and start sending emails straight off the bat because guess what? That is exactly what spammers do, and that is why they go to spam. So before we can actually start sending, we need to warm up each domain for 14 days. There's no way to shortcut this, okay? It just needs to take time. It needs to take 2 weeks. You need to give it 2 weeks, 14 days before you can start sending to ensure that your emails actually have good deliverability, right? Your domain reputation is nice and strong and your emails actually land in primary, right? There's no point in doing all this shit if your emails are just going to spam and no one's seeing them. So there's a lot of email warming tools out there on the market, Lemwarm, Instantly, and so on. The one that I'm going to recommend that you use for both warming and sending is Instantly. I personally think they are the best in the game when it comes to cold outreach. It's a company run by cold emailers for cold emailers. They basically built the tool that they wish they had. It's a really smart team behind it. They're very innovative. And it's just honestly like, dude, if they were a public company, I would buy shares, right? Let's just say that. So we're going to use Instantly. That is the tool that I recommend. You're going to have to sign up for the hyper growth package. It is $97 a month, okay, USD, but it does come with a 14-day free trial. So technically, you could warm your domains for free if you just signed up for 2 weeks and then canceled. But we're going to need it to send anyway, so just sign up for the package, okay? Now, you could sign up. They do have cheaper tiers. You could go to here. You go to pricing. This package right here, it's the one that we want. Hypergrowth, pay yearly. You can save some money, save 20%. Now, if you're balling on a budget, probably realistically, you're going to be paying monthly. So it's going to be $97 a month. Now, you might be tempted. This growth package, hey, you can get the same thing for only $37. No, unfortunately, the growth package is not enough for our sending needs, as you'll see when we get to the next bit. So listen, you could spend hours and days Googling alternatives and you're going to come to the same fucking conclusion. Trust me, I've done all the research for you. This is the one to use. Just stack up and sign up for it, okay? Next, just leave all the warming settings on default. It is super simple to connect once you've set it all up. You just jump in here, right? You go all the way over there, warm up button, click it till it turns green, and that's quite literally it. That's all you need to do. Turn warming on, let it do its thing, leave all the settings on default. I've just given you my personal email. That's fucking great. Now, what is this warming up thing? What does it do? Why is it necessary? Very simple. The reason that we want to do this is because when you first purchase a domain, it is stone cold, okay? It has never emailed anyone. It's never been emailed before. If you try and start blasting out emails straight away, literally, again, that is exactly what spammers do. Therefore, Gmail is going to go, you're a fucking spammer. Fuck you. You're going in the spam folder. And then our sequence won't work, okay? So what this does for you is it essentially replicates human-like sending and receiving behavior on your behalf on autopilot for 2 weeks. It will send and receive emails to a giant pool of people who also use Instantly. And you guys basically will send each other emails and you'll respond to some of them in a natural human sort of pattern that you would normally respond to emails, which signals to Gmail and all these other algorithms that like, oh, okay, yeah, this person's using their email like a normal person and you know, they're good to go. And that's going to warm your domain up until your domain reputation is high. And then we can start blasting cold emails later on. Now, of course, this is going to mean that you're going to be getting a flood of random emails in your inbox. It's going to be clogging it up and you probably don't want to see that. So unless you want to go insane, what you want to do is copy the warm-up filter tag that's in Instantly, create a filter in your Gmail so you actually hide all those warming emails in a folder so that you don't go insane, like I said, right? So they're going to give you a custom signature. We went over here from warm-up into settings right there. There it is. You're going to click to copy that. Super simple. You come over here into filtering settings and you just go include the words, bang. Then you go create filter. And then all you're going to do is mark it as red, never send to spam. And then you're just going to apply a label, create a custom label, send them all to a folder. That way they're not showing up in your main inbox and you don't go insane. Okay. So that's step 2. The third tool that we're going to need to use here is our lead generation tools. Okay. So hate to break it to you, but we're going to need some leads for this to work. Now, there are 3 main lead gen tools that we're going to want to use to mass scrape leads at scale. The 3 that I recommend are going to be LinkedIn Sales Navigator, Apollo, and new kid on the block is Instantly Lead Finder. So this is going to depend a little bit on what niche in particular you're going after. If you are going after like coaches, personal brands as the niche that you chose in module 2, I'd recommend you use LinkedIn Sales Navigator. You're going to need the $99 a month core plan. If you have what I would call a more like legit business, so I just imagine something that would have like a head office, that type of thing, then you're going to want to use Apollo. Apollo is essentially a giant database full of like 250 million companies. You're going to need the $59 a month basic plan is all we need for this. Now, the caveat here is when you use these 2 tools, especially LinkedIn Sales Navigator, it's going to give you a bunch of leads. However, all it's going to show you is just a bunch of targeted LinkedIn profiles, not necessarily their emails and their phone numbers and their contact info. So we need to use a third-party tool. The one I recommend is going to be Find Email to actually extract their personal emails from LinkedIn Sales Nav or Apollo. This is going to set you back $99 a month for 5,000 contacts. 5,000 should be enough. That's all we need. Alternatively, if you're balling on a budget, there are other tools that do this as well. Phantom Buster, Scrap, and EvoBoot Wizard, for example. And one of the newer players in this market, like I said, is Instantly Lead Finder. So in addition to the sending and warming software, recently, about 6 months ago, they actually launched their own lead gen software as well. It is $97 a month in addition to the $97 a month that you have to pay for the sending software. And the Supersonic Leads is the plan that you want to get. That's going to get you 4,500 verified leads every single month with the personal emails. So the good news is you don't actually have to pay the additional $99 a month to use Find Email because it actually just gives you the personal emails for you. Now, if you're wondering, oh my God, this sounds like a lot of costs and expenses. I don't have that. I can't afford that, whatever. Good news is you don't need to use these forever every single month unless you're running like a high level agency. You can simply sign up for 1 month, scrape as many leads as you possibly can, and then cancel. That's totally fine. And then only when you run out of leads and you need more, you can reactivate your plan and get more. Okay, so there's no need to pay for it every month. Next, the 4th tool that we need, super important, is email verification. You always must validate your lead list with an email verification tool to ensure that your email list that you've generated from these scraping tools is real, it's active, and it's free of spam traps. Okay, so this is going to protect your domains and sender reputation. Nothing will destroy your sender reputation and send you to spam faster than emailing a giant list of emails that are invalid or full of spam traps or whatever, they're bouncing. Not good. Okay, so we want to make sure that we're cleaning our lead list before we do any sending at all. What I recommend you do, easiest way to do this, jump over into AppSumo, just simply search for email verifier or email validator, as you know from watching module 4. AppSumo is just a giant market, essentially full of software programs. And from time to time, some of these programs will just run these absolutely insane, 99% off, like lifetime deals and that kind of thing. So literally just search for email verifier or email validator, chuck it in the search bar, and then honestly just pick any of these. They all pretty much work the same. Rion, that's a really good one. So you can see that instead of spending, what it would normally cost, which is like 50 to $100 a month, you can quite literally get access to the tool for lifetime for a one-time purchase of $79, which is absolutely insane. So just search for email verifier, search for email validator, look for one of them which has a good lifetime deal, should be around $59 and has great reviews, and just choose that. So a few of the really good ones in the market: Rion, Million Verifier, email list validation. Search for those ones first. If they have a deal on, definitely grab one of them. Move on. That's all we need to do. The fifth tool, this is super important as well. Luckily, this one is free. It is called Mail Meteor Spam Checker. So what this essentially does is actually scans your emails for spammy words and phrases that are likely to put you in spam. So that way, beforehand, before you send the email, you can proof your copy and make sure you remove those words so that you don't go to spam. So super helpful, super useful tool that we're going to be using down the line. So all in all, for the total investment for the tech stack that we need to make this work is $10 for 5 sending domains, okay, $2 each on GoDaddy. Of course, they're going to renew at about $20 to $30 a year later on. But like I said, once you're making $10K a month, do you really give a fuck about $20 a year? Not really. So not that important. Next bit is Google Workspace. That is for the emails and the inboxes that we're going to be using to send from. That's going to set you back $7.20 each as of right now, $36 in total. Next is our scraping software. That's going to be $59 to $99 for Apollo or LinkedIn Sales Navigator or Instantly Lead Finder to scrape leads. $99 a month for Find Email to extract the personal email of all those leads we generated. $59 one time for an email validation tool on AppSumo. And then, of course, we need to use Instantly, $97 a month, which is going to warm and send our emails. So the total upfront cost to get this entire system up and running, the system that will literally save you 40 hours plus a week of manual prospecting, manually sending emails, and just do the whole thing for you, is $300 to $400. I mean, honestly, if you value your time more than like $2 an hour, I think it's an absolute no-brainer, right? The only ongoing costs after that, literally the only thing you have to keep paying for is the Google Workspace emails every month, and then Instantly to send the emails. So $300 to $400 up front, and then $133 a month ongoing for Google Workspace and Instantly. For the amount of time this saves you, literally 40 hours a week, it is an absolute no-brainer. If you can afford it, absolutely do it. If that's too much for you right now, totally get it. I used to work in a warehouse for minimum wage. In that case, jump back a module, just do the personalized outreach, you'll be absolutely fine. So that was step 1. Build your cold outreach email tech stack. Done and dusted. Let's talk about step 2. That is going to be search, researching your ideal target prospect. Now, I'm not going to bullshit you. Research is probably the most boring part of this entire process, but oh my God, it is the most necessary. If you try and skip this step, I assure you, nothing else matters. This process will not work. It is absolutely crucial. No doubt you've heard this quote before from the legend, Mr. Abe Lincoln. Give me 6 hours to chop down a tree and I will spend the first 4 sharpening the axe. Sharpening the axe in this case means doing our research. You'll see that once you have a firm grasp on your prospects, pain points, needs, desires, wants, and so on, literally your cold outreach emails will write themselves. Everything will become absolutely effortless if you put in the time to do it here. So this is going to be one of the longest sections, but absolutely the most important. By this point, you should have decided your niche and your offer, and you should have a very clear understanding of what you're selling and who you're selling it to. If not, go back and watch the series in order. You fucking goose, okay? It's a series for a reason. You start with video 1, and then you watch video 2, and then all the way to video 6. This is video 6. Watch it in order, okay? So, why niche down? Well, a few very key reasons why we want to niche down. Why can't we just say, well, there's 330 million businesses in the world. Why can't I go for all of them? Think about this concept of a generalist versus a specialist. Who gets paid more? Your GP, right? Your random local GP down the road, or a brain surgeon? Of course, the brain surgeon gets 5 to 10 times more money despite the fact that they're both doctors. Why? Because he solves a very specific, very high level problem. We want to become a specialist and not a generalist. Second reason is it's gonna allow you to become the go-to expert in your niche and just get tons of referrals on autopilot, right? If you brand yourself as like, I am the email copywriter for pet stores or whatever, then you're gonna kind of develop a name for yourself if you're good, right? And then, buzz will get around, word will get around, and then before you know it, you'll have clients coming to you without even trying. Third reason, quite simply, you need a map before you enter the woods, right? If you're trying to get to the other side, it's kind of nice to know how to get there. So, famous quote that I love from our man Confucius: the man who chases two rabbits catches neither. This is such a common trend that I see among people who are like, oh, well, I could help golf store owners and I could help gym owners and I could help this and that. And it's like, yeah, you could help everyone, but by chasing everyone, you appeal to absolutely no one. It is the equivalent of, imagine you walk into a crowd, right? And you shout, hey, you. Who's going to turn and look? Fucking no one, right? Because it's generic as shit, right? Imagine if you said, hey, Brian. Imagine someone called Brian, dude, they're going to turn and look 100%. Okay, so that's what we're trying to get at here. The way you stand out in such a crowded marketplace isn't by shouting louder than everyone else. Okay, it is by whispering the right words in the ears of your prospects. Okay, so that's why niching is super important. Now, none of this is new. We cover this all in module 2, but it's super important. So I want to make sure we go over it again. Okay, the 5 ones. This is your fastest path to 6 figures. We're going to pick one target market. That means one person, one problem, one promise. We're going to make one main offer to them, one main traffic source. In this case, we're talking about cold emailing, one conversion tool. I would recommend a phone call or a Zoom call, technically. I would recommend you do a Zoom call. And then the last bit is one quarter. All that means is 90 days. So you're going to give this an honest crack. You're going to go super hard for 90 days. You're not going to change anything about your target market, your offer, your traffic source, your conversion tool for 90 days. And then if for some miraculous reason you're not getting results after 90 days, then you can go back and revisit. Okay, don't be one of these niche jumpers who tries it for like 7 days and go, oh, my niche is broke, it sucks. And then you're flip-flopping all over the place and you make no money. Okay, it's what everyone does. It's why they all suck, why they get no results. So let's talk about your 5-star market checklist. What actually makes a great niche? Very simple. Starving market. Is there actually a need for a copywriter in that space? Is the market growing year over year, right? Not like the, newspaper industry, for example. Are they easy to find, right? Are they actually searchable? If you were to type into LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram, do they have a catchphrase or a title or a job title or something that you can actually search for? Purchasing power. Are they able to buy? AKA, if you're selling to like broke, unemployed uni students or something, probably not a great market. So do they have money? Are they already successful? Are they making money? Now, this one is a little bit controversial. Everyone always talks about like, oh, you want to go for a blue ocean opportunity, right? You ever read any of like Russell Brunson's stuff? No hate on Russell. I think he's amazing. But, they always talk about this concept of blue ocean. I'm just like, dude, you're not trying to build $1 billion business and disrupt an entire industry, okay? You're literally just trying to make like 10 grand a month. There is so much room in every market for you for a fucking piss tiny little 10K a month. It's absolutely nothing, okay? It is a micro slice of the pie. So what I mean here by red ocean is, are there already copywriters crushing it in this market? That's all. Are there copywriters making money in this market? If there are not, if you're like, oh, I've just discovered this magical blue ocean, there's not a single copywriter in this market, I could be the first one. Yeah, there's probably a reason for that. It's probably because the market has no money and it sucks, okay? So what I'm getting at is like, go for something proven. That's it. Now, the best niche for you is going to be something that you're passionate about, that you have ideally some sort of knowledge in, and then something that there is demand for as well. So if you can hit on all 3 of those spheres, like we talked about in module 2, then that is your absolute golden market, okay? That's the market. So the market is the who. We combine the market with the service. Your service is the what, aka what are you selling? Okay, are you selling email marketing, Facebook ads, SEO, sex counseling and therapy? I don't know, right? That's the service. And the intersection of those two is what we call your niche. Okay, so if you're like email marketing for ecom coaches, that would be your niche. Very simple. Now, if you're struggling to decide, then let me help you out. Right here is a list of proven, in-demand, high-paying niches in case you're stuck and you need some help. Supplement brands, niche ecom stores, financial/investing newsletters, courses, and coaches. Crypto, getting pretty hot right now. I don't know, depending when you're watching this. Maybe it's like 2027 and the whole fucking crypto market has collapsed. I don't know. Credit repair, dating, relationship, sex advice, right? You pick either men or women ideally. Golf training, golf equipment. A lot of rich people in that market. They want to beat their friends at golf and they're willing to spend a lot of money. Trust me. Pets, right? That involves pet care, pet training, pet supplies, pet swag and merch, that sort of thing. Pet food. Survival and the prepper niche. That's a huge one in the direct response market. Dispensaries, right? If it's legal where you live. Travel, luxury travel, alternative health, self-improvement, food and wine, SaaS, baby products, senior care health, home improvement, maintenance, repair, renovation, furniture, online fitness coaches, business coaches. Now, a lot of people are like, I'm an email copywriter, business coaches isn't that. In my opinion, business coach is too broad. You want to narrow that down even further. Really, when it comes to business coaches, there are two separate types of business coaches, right? We've got B2C and B2B. So when it comes to B2C, that's business to consumer, in case you're new to this industry, all that really means is BizOp, right? Business opportunity. So if we think like helping people make money online, like I'll help you make your first 5K online, basically what I do, right? That would be BizOp, B2C. So that comes in tons of different forms. As you know, right? Ecom, dropshipping, trading, copywriting, real estate, sales, appointment setting, SMMA, YouTube, all that stuff. Okay, that's B2C. And I would pick one of these specific things. That would be a niche. Next type of business coach would be B2B. So when I think B2B, this is really helping established businesses to grow and scale. So if you're willing to help agencies, anything that's like corporate, culture, ads, scaling, consulting, etc., that all falls under the B2B umbrella. So all that matters here is that you pick something either from this list or you go through the exercise that we talked about all the way back in module 1 or 2 or whatever it was. Pick a niche, pick a service, let's move on with your life, okay? Now that we've chosen, we need to research the fuck out of it to learn their frustrations, their fears, their goals, their desires, their hopes, and their dreams. And I really want to stress this. I really want to iterate this. You cannot skip the research process or your outreach will not work. Trust me. I'll give you 2 examples of this right now. So what are people really buying? Super interesting. So example number 1, security cameras. Now, there was a really interesting study that came out a few years ago, and it turns out that the bulk majority of people who buy security cameras, it's not to actually, prevent and catch intruders from invading the home or anything like that. Literally, most people who bought security cameras, it turns out they're actually buying it to watch their pets and watch their children when they're away at work. So they can see that they're safe, they're okay, that the dog's not fucking ripping up all the pillows and stuff like that. Wouldn't that be a pretty important thing to know if you were, I don't know, in charge of marketing for a security camera company? Probably, right? You're out there talking about like, oh, prevent home invasions and stuff. Bro, people don't actually fucking care about that. They're buying it to watch their pets, okay? So this is why the research is so important. Then you pivot your marketing and then you talk about that. Guess what? People buy. Next example, I've talked about this in a previous video, but I think it's worth bringing up again. So friend of mine, Caleb O'Dowd, he is a very, very successful copywriter, 8-9 figures, something like that. He actually used to be the roommate of Gary Halbert. Talk about luck. He literally, imagine just fucking moving in with a random person as a flatmate, and it turns out that person is the greatest copywriter of all time, Gary Halbert. So this guy, Caleb, he moved from Ireland to sunny, I think it was Miami. And he was like, whoa, what's this copywriting thing, Gary? You seem to be doing pretty well at this. You're like, teach me copywriting, right? And Gary goes, all right, young buck, you want to learn copywriting? Here's what you're going to do. Current offer I'm working on is we are selling dick pills, basically Viagra, to this certain market. What you're going to do is you are going to ring up 100 of the previous buyers that have bought this particular dick pill, and you're going to ask them why they bought. And Caleb's like, yeah, to hell I am. And Gary's like, you want a job? That's what you're going to do. So Caleb reluctantly picks up the phone, starts dialing. He goes, "Hey, so I noticed you just bought a bottle of Mr. Big. Can I just ask you, like, man to man, like real talk, like, why did you actually buy it?" And to his surprise, a lot of these people were very open and very honest, and they opened up to him, right? And it turns out the reason they were buying this dick pill, it wasn't because they couldn't get it up anymore. It turns out like pretty much all of them were buying it because they felt guilty about losing attraction for their long-term partner. These people in their 50s, 60s, they're like, I've been married to the same girl for, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. And, it's hard to stay attracted to them. So it's like, that's why they bought it. And it's like, interesting. You wouldn't have thought that. So armed with this information, Gary turns to Caleb and he says, "Now go write a sales letter selling this." Caleb's like, "What's a sales letter?" Gary just goes, just go write one, okay? And Caleb, literally having never written a sales letter in his entire life, knows nothing about copywriting, wrote his first ever sales letter. Gary Halbert made like a couple tweaks to it, very minor. They mailed it out and made $1 million in sales. His first ever sales letter that he ever wrote. Why? Because he knew the specific pain points of his target market and he knew why they were buying, okay? This is why the research phase is so important. So how do we actually do this? How do we become a market detective? Tons of different ways that we can go about doing this that I'll cover briefly. So the obvious, easiest, and best, most effective way is to talk to existing past clients and friends in the industry if you have them, right? So whatever your niche is that you chose, right? If it's like golf coaches or whatever, if you have clients, previous clients, past clients, if you know anyone in the industry, talk to them. Ask them, interview them. What are your pain points? What do you struggle with? What do you wish you had? What would be your ideal outcome? Like really, like take them out for lunch, pay for the lunch, have a conversation with them, learn all this stuff. That is marketing gold. Next, forums. Pro tip, there's a free Chrome extension. It's called Discussions. Download it, use it. If you're not using Google Chrome, do better. Use Google Chrome, okay? Right? Free Chrome extension. And then guess what happens? If I Google, let's say how to lose weight fast, if I'm in the fitness market, what's going to happen is boom, see that right there, Discussions, an extra tab, secret tab that you didn't even know existed shows up right there. What this is going to show instead of videos, images, and so on is forums. All of these results are going to be forums, and this is absolute market research gold that you can dig through. So study the questions, click on all these forums, read through them, spend hours, right? Study the questions people are asking, how they describe their struggles and the implications of those problems. Okay, so here's one, for example, Reddit/email marketing. What are your biggest struggles, challenges with doing email marketing? And there's like tons and dozens of people who are going through and talking about it. If you're selling email marketing, email copywriting, wouldn't that be useful to know? Like what literally hundreds of business owners are saying they struggle with. Guess what? You can use that as ammunition in your cold outreach. And it's going to work because it's what everyone's struggling with, okay? Right? Let's take one example here. I have a joke about email marketing, but it's stuck in the promotions folder, right? So that's a big pain point people have as well. Next, Google autofill. Very simple. When you type some shit in, Google automatically tries to finish your sentence like my girlfriend, right? Very assumptive. And so those results aren't random, okay? Google is suggesting the most searched terms. And so what comes up in Google autofill is obviously what people are searching a lot. Likewise, YouTube, you can search relevant YouTube videos in your niche, in your topic, right? Which videos get the most views? If they have the most views, they probably is for a reason. It's because a lot of people are searching for that topic, okay? Remember, YouTube is a search platform. It's the second largest search platform after Google. Go to Amazon, look for relevant books. Which books in your industry are the most popular? They're probably popular for a reason, right? Read the reviews. What are the good reviews and the bad reviews say? Look at the 5 stars, the 3 stars, and the 1-star reviews. You'll see what people love about it. You see what they hate about it. And you'll see what they're okay about it, right? And then that gives you perfect information. Hey, the 5-star reviews, that's what people want. The 1-star reviews, that's what they wish the book had. Boom, maybe I can provide that solution. Next one, Keywords Anywhere. It is another Chrome extension. It is very cheap. It is paid, but cheap. Works for Google and YouTube. Basically, every time you Google something, it'll suggest a giant list of similar search terms that people are searching by search volume and history. So very useful as well. Another tool, this one is paid. It's a little bit more expensive. It's called Answer the Public. I think you get like 3 to 5 free searches a day. So you could try that. So for example, if you search crypto, it will literally show you like the top searches on Google that people are searching for, like word for word, right? So it's like, what is the best crypto to buy? Is crypto legal? How can I buy crypto, right? Like those sort of search terms, very useful to know. Facebook groups. We talked all about that all the way back in module 3, so that should be nothing new there. But great idea. Find niche Facebook groups, jump into them and search for specific phrases like how to, how do I, question, or does anyone know, right? Those things obviously are people asking questions. And so you can search, right? By the way, hashtag welcome to the 21st century. You can search in Facebook groups. So here we are in my group, for example. If you're not in it, what are you even doing with your life? Make sure you join us. I drop tons of value in here every single day. You can search the group. For example, how do I, right? And then it's going to come up with every single keyword or question or person. Mostly all the posts are from me, but anyone who's ever searched like how do I, how can I, that kind of thing is going to come up, and that's going to provide you some incredible market research right there. LinkedIn, another great one. Search through LinkedIn groups for business-oriented topics, real estate, investing, digital marketing, and so on. Competitor research, right? See which content, blogs, Facebook posts, YouTube videos, etc., get the most engagement. Listen to industry-relevant podcasts. ChatGPT, here's a cool little hack for you. Copy paste this exact prompt, type it into ChatGPT, and say, hey, I run a niche business, right? So I run an email copywriting business for fitness coaches, and I help women's fat loss coaches to boost their email revenue. I am marketing to these people using ads, emails, and social media. Can you give me 10 of the most common and frustrating pain points someone in the fitness coaching niche goes through on a daily, weekly, and monthly and yearly basis? And it is going to spit out a whole bunch of pain points for you. Incredible market research done in seconds. The point is here, you really want to spend some time on this process, right? Spend 1 or 2 days really going down the rabbit hole. Like do all of this, like live, breathe, eat, and sleep your market. Understand like the day-to-day realities of their life. What is it like to be a business owner in that particular niche, right? You want to literally become them. Like by this point, if you do this right, you should be the James Bond of your market. You should literally know your target prospects better than they know themselves. This is what separates the amateurs from the pros. The time spent here will yield you result in dividends that you cannot fathom, I promise. So that's all well and good, but you might be wondering, Sean, what am I actually researching for specifically, right? Here is the ultimate framework I've ever seen for doing this. Credit where credit is due. Taki Moore, the man, the myth, the legend, one of my original business coaches, helped take me from 20K a month to well over 100K a month. Dude's an absolute legend, makes like $30 million a year. Most generous human I've ever met, never wears shoes, just a total rock star. Okay. So he talks about this concept that we call the 4 forces. Now, this is essentially a quadrant comprised of 4 sections, hence the word quadrant. So we have wants, aspirations, frustrations, and fears. So I think it's pretty self-explanatory, but essentially wants is just like, what do your target market want? Aspirations is more long-term. So it's like, what do they want more in the future? Frustrations is what are the annoying nitpicky things that they immediately wish they could get rid of? And then fears, once again, long-term, that is like, if these frustrations continue, what do they fear might happen in the future? So the way that I would recommend that you use this, that you feel this out, as you're going through these forums and Amazon and YouTube videos and so on, and you're going through all these places, Facebook groups, you're doing all this research, take notes, but put your notes in one of these 4 quadrants and spend a lot of time on this. It will pay off, I promise. So the way you want to start, I would start right here, bottom left, frustrations. All you're going to do is you're going to list out like, what are all the frustrations that this market has, particularly as it pertains to your particular service, right? So like email marketing. So for example, like, what do dating coaches struggle with? Well, probably struggle to predictably generate high quality, high income leads. They probably struggle with dealing with a lot of brokies, unpredictable lead flow, leads not willing to spend thousands of dollars on their high ticket coaching, so on and so on. That would be the frustrations. Then you're going to extrapolate that into fears. So it's like, hey, if this continues, what do I fear might happen? Well, I fear that maybe I'm going to have to wind this business down. I'll have to go bankrupt. I'll have to give up. I'll have to go back to working 9 to 5, whatever, right? Now, the cool part is once you've done the bottom 2, frustrations and fears, you're pretty much done. All you have to do is invert it and then you get the top 2. Okay. So the opposite of all the frustrations are all the things they want. The opposite of all the fears are all the aspirations that they want. Now, really build this list as big as you can. Spend a good few hours doing this, because I promise, if you get this right, your emails will literally write themselves. Okay, your campaigns will crush. Your calendar will be flooded with prospects wanting to hire you for your services. All right. So that's the first bit. The next thing we need to do is we need to take our service, for example, email marketing, and actually refine it into an offer. This right here, this is the secret sauce to cold outreach. Okay, this is how you literally grab your prospect's attention by the throat and you make them beg to jump on a call. It is what I refer to as mafia offers. What is a mafia offer? Quite simply, an offer that cannot be refused. Okay? Remember, success with cold outreach, it all comes down to sending the right message to the right person at the right time. The most important piece of this entire puzzle is your offer. The more of a no-brainer that your offer is, the more people will give you money. It is quite literally that simple, okay? So the way that we want to go about this is what I call the drug dealer method. What is Sean talking about now? Here's what I mean. Something you have to understand is that generic services like email marketing, list management, Facebook ads, Instagram growth, it's 2024, it's 2025. I don't know when you're watching this, okay? But those services are very generic. They're very saturated, and it's very hard to cut through the noise, because how many copywriters are there out there emailing, hey, I'm an email copywriter, can write your emails? There's millions of them, right? Especially as it's more like courses, gurus, YouTube channels. I'm part of the problem as well, right? Pumping out copywriters by the day. So it's hard to cut through that noise and stand out. So the way we actually stand out, like I said before, it's not about shouting louder, it's about getting more strategic. So we need to hook prospects' attention with a hyper specific offer that gets them a specific desirable result. What this is going to be is a subsection, or essentially a downsell of your main service. This is key. Pay attention if you're over there sleeping, if you're scrolling on Facebook, scrolling on LinkedIn. Give me your goddamn attention, because this is going to change your life. For example, email marketing as a service can be broken down into so many different pieces. Think about it, how much goes into doing actual email marketing? There's tons, right? There's sending broadcast emails, there's the promotional calendar, there's deliverability, list hygiene, automation, list growth, email list capture, like formatting and filtering. There's a conversion mechanism, which is like your sales page, booking calls, etc. Like the links you're sending people to in the emails. There's so much that goes into it. So to turn a generic service like email marketing, because if you're emailing people like, oh, hey, I can do email marketing, right? It's about as exciting as saying like, oh, hey, I can grow your Instagram. It's like, whatever, bro, sure you can. Who cares? They ignore it, delete it, move on. So to turn that generic email marketing service into a mafia offer, we need to take a one specific, sexy, instant results piece of that package and offer that. So by breaking email marketing down into each of these specific pieces, we can take the sexiest piece, and that is what we're going to use in our outreach. So for example, what we might do is I'll say, hey, I can get you out of spam, right? If that's a problem that they're struggling with. And that'll be, 5 to 10x opens, clicks, and sales for you. That's the offer that Alex made $20,000 with before, by the way, the free YouTube video that I mentioned. Get them out of promotions tab and into primary, which would be up to a 2x in opens, clicks, sales. Install a high converting welcome sequence. I will install an abandoned cart sequence to revive lost sales. I'll change your unsubscribe link to turn unsubscribers into buyers. The Alex Edwards video example that I've used in previous videos. I will install a list cleaner automation to improve your deliverability. I'll grow your list faster and cheaper than running Facebook ads if you have like a list growth service. I'll build you a lead list of targeted businesses. I'll optimize your landing page to increase conversions. I'll install fake opt-in protection on your landing page so that you don't get hit with a ton of fake emails, people just entering in gibberish to try and get your free thing, which will destroy your deliverability, that type of stuff, right? So that's the offer part of it. The next key piece here is super important, that is going to be guarantees. If you couple this drug dealer model with a crazy guarantee, just watch, your reply rates, your calls booked is going to shoot through the absolute roof. Now, the less experience, proof, results, track record, and case studies that you have, the bolder your guarantee and your offer needs to be to reverse the risk. Okay, think about it. Like, you're a total stranger showing up in their inbox. Why would they hire you? Why should they trust you? Of course, you have no track record. So you really need to go above and beyond and make a banger offer and guarantee. So there's two components to this. These guarantees really do need to be, number one, extremely bold. Number two, humanizing. So let me show you some examples. So if I don't get you X result in X time frame, then don't pay me a cent and I'll even hand deliver you a fresh batch of piping hot choc chip cookies for wasting your time. Or, if I don't make you 10K in 30 days, I'll give you $1,000 for wasting your time, and I'll even write a long Facebook post about how I literally embarrassed myself. If I don't result in time frame, I won't ask for a single dollar, and I'll even send you $100 Uber Eats voucher to buy yourself a nice lunch. If I don't result in time frame, then I'll not only refund every single cent, but I'll personally call your nearest Mastro's. I'll book you in for an all expenses paid gourmet steak dinner for two. If I could spell gourmet, that would be even better. If I don't make you X in X days, 30K in 30 days, whatever, then my pride won't let me stop, so I'll work for free until I do. If I don't book you at least 10 qualified calls in the first month, then I'll rent the biggest billboard in Sydney and I'll throw up a giant picture of me in a clown suit saying I fucked up, right? Something like that, right? So you can see these guarantees, they're all extremely bold and they're humanizing. See what I mean? So, saying something like, I'll give you $1,000 for wasting your time. It's like, that's cool. That's nice. But it's like, there's something just funny and interesting about, this mental image of you being in a clown suit on a billboard. It kind of makes them laugh, makes them chuckle a little bit. And they're like, okay, this guy's kind of like cocky, but it's kind of funny. It's kind of confident and it works super well. So really just have fun and get creative with it. Like, the more risk-free and appealing that the guarantee is, the more calls you will book. There is a direct correlation there, okay? Please, for the love of God, do not copy these, okay? Use them for inspiration. Make your own unique offer and guarantee. I made these, just riff them off the top of my head, okay? Yours will work because they are ballsy and fun and unique. This video is gonna get thousands of views, all right? And I don't want everyone going around copying, using these guarantees. Or guess what? They're not going to work anymore because they're no longer going to be unique. Yours will work because they are unique. And really, don't be scared to go big. Here's the truth. Almost no one will ask for the actual thing that you guaranteed, right? They're not going to ask for proof that you put up a billboard or anything like that. The objective here, what we're trying to do is grab their attention and get them on the phone in the first place. That is literally the hardest part of the entire client getting process by far. Here's a little trick for you, okay? It's a bit sneaky, but this is the play. Then once you're actually on the call, then you can ask them about their business and their goals. You can pitch your main service, which would be like holistic email marketing, list management, right? And I'll write your emails and I'll do all this stuff. So basically use this hyper-sectioned off downsell, right? One of these things to get your foot in the door because it appeals to them because it's like instant results, quick, sexy. Then you get them on the phone. Then you can close them on your full scale. Hey, I'll do your full email marketing. I'll do all this for you. Okay. So this is really like the foot in the door that gets you the call in the first place. And I call it the drug dealer model because really, if you think about it, like any good drug dealer, they give out these free samples, these free hits. Not that I would know, but that's how they get you hooked, right? It's like, try this. And then you're hooked. And then it's like, now you come back and buy more and more. Okay. That's the idea. So, not gonna lie, this is super sneaky, super cheeky, but really, really effective. So if you're worried, so you might be listening to this and you might be going okay, yeah, Sean, that sounds all well and good, but I don't want to be shaving my hair, refunding people thousands of dollars, putting up billboards, this and that. What if I can't get them the outcome? What if I can't make them 20K in 30 days? What do I do, right? So if you're worried about having to actually follow through on the guarantee, remember, you can always disqualify them on the call with what I call an ethical bait and switch based on them not hitting the minimum list size criteria. Okay, so cheeky but effective. So essentially what this would be is you would jump on the phone and you would say, okay, so how big is your list? And they say, oh, it's 6,000 people. And you go, 6,000? Is that it? And they say, yeah. And you go, oh, dude, I'm so sorry. That's my bad. I honestly thought, like, it looks from the outside that you're absolutely crushing it. I thought you would have a list of like at least 20, 30,000 people. Now, just to be fully upfront and honest and transparent, that guarantee of making 30K in the first 30 days only applies to people who have a list size of at least 10,000 people. Now, you're not quite there yet. You're only at 6,000. So I won't be able to guarantee that. However, there is a lot we can do with a list of 6,000. We can certainly do some damage. I'm going to do my absolute best to try and hit that goal of 30K in the first 30 days. I just can't contractually guarantee it because you don't meet the minimum list size criteria. So again, totally my bad. Should have mentioned that in the email, but I didn't even think I needed to because it looks like you're crushing it. Right? So that's essentially word for word in that exact tonality, what you would say on the phone. Now, it's kind of an ethical bait and switch because really it's more just like you're omitting that there's this criteria that they need to meet for a certain list size. So it's more like guilt by omission, right? If you go about it in that way, if you come from a frame where you're like genuinely apologetic, one, and then just genuinely like wanting to help them win, you're like, I really want to do my best to try and help you at that 30K in 30 days. I just can't guarantee it. Then most business owners aren't going to mind, right? Now, the whole thing is like, why do we do it this way? Because again, the hardest part is to grab their attention and to get them on the phone. You have literally like 3 to 5 seconds to grab their attention before they delete your email and move on. So we need to literally hit them with our absolute best, hook their attention, huge offer, huge guarantee, just enough so they manage to book a call. Then when you have their full attention, you got 20, 30 minutes on Zoom, then you can justify, then you can explain, and then you can, sort of do this process and so on, right? But it's like getting them on the phone and to begin with is the absolute hardest thing. That's why we have to do it this way. Okay, so it's kind of a win-win. So it's kind of like a mousetrap, but the mouse gets to eat the cheese and gets to survive. So it's a win-win. So there we have it. Phase 2 search done and dusted. That was the longest one. These next ones are going to be a little bit faster. Let's talk about stage number 3. That is going to be scraping, more specifically, mass scraping a lead list of target prospects. So there are going to be 3 tools that I am going to recommend that you use for this process. First one is LinkedIn Sales Navigator. You're going to want to sign up for the $99 a month core plan, like I mentioned before. Now, the difference between these is LinkedIn really, in my opinion, is the most comprehensive and complete, because literally it is like anyone who has a LinkedIn profile, which is pretty much every business owner ever. However, it does give you less data, right? So it's not going to give you their email and phone number. Now, who would I recommend this for? If you're going after coaches, consultants, or personal brands, I think LinkedIn Sales Navigator is the way to go. Apollo, like we mentioned, it does give you more data per person, like their email and phone number and so on, but it's a bit less comprehensive. It has like less leads than LinkedIn Sales Nav. However, we're still talking about 230 million businesses, so there's no real shortage here. Now, this is really for more like legit companies, quote unquote, with an office, right? So example, like if you were going after like e-com brands and stuff like that, I would probably recommend Apollo. But me, for example, like if you were targeting coaches like me, I would be pretty surprised if I showed up in an Apollo search. So that's where you'd be best off using LinkedIn Sales Navigator. Now, new kids on the block, instantly lead finder, $97 a month for the supersonic plan. This is a newer entry into the market, but they do have really promising results so far. I think it could be fine-tuned to be a little bit better, but the team behind them is really solid. They're super high level, very innovative, very smart team. And so no doubt, probably by the time you're even watching this, it's been like 2, 3, 6 months, and they're probably on top. They're probably crushing it right now. So this is really more of an all-in-one solution. So there's no need to use a third-party tool like Find Email to extract the emails like I mentioned before. Here is the secret sauce that fucks everyone up, and I'm going to show you how to do it properly. So what filtering settings should we actually use to find ideal target prospects? Because if you go to these platforms, let's say you go to LinkedIn Sales Navigator, we're going to scroll all the way back down here. It's like, oh my God, there are so many filtering settings. What am I supposed to type in? What do I use? What do I not use? So I just want to clear up all the confusion right now, give you all the answers, give you all the solutions, tell you what matters, tell you what doesn't. So when it comes to position and management level, we want to go after the decision makers. What is the decision maker? Surprise, surprise. This is going to blow your mind, but basically it's the person who makes their decision. So owner, founder, partner, C-suite executive, CXO. So all that means is like COO, CMO, CFO, and so on. Basically the most senior people we can go after in the company because they essentially have the power to make decisions, right? If you're emailing company and you email some like cashier or whatever the fuck, like some retail staff, it's completely irrelevant. Like they're not going to be able to make any decisions. So that's who you want to go after for that. In terms of location, pretty much all of these tools, by the way, LinkedIn, Apollo, and Instantly are going to have similar filtering settings. So I would recommend you just leave this on tier 1 countries. What are tier 1 countries? Basically, it's the more politically correct version of saying first world countries. So it's essentially the most economically powerful, rich countries in the world, right? So like USA, UK, Canada, Australia, Netherlands, Germany, Singapore, New Zealand, and so on, right? If you want a list, you can literally Google tier 1 countries. It's a thing, it's a real thing, and you'll get a list there. So unless you want a specific country, like maybe you serve the French market, you know, you're fluent in French or whatever, you can target France. But other than that, I would recommend you just leave it to tier 1. Company size, I would recommend you leave this to 1 to 10 because they probably have the highest chance of actually hiring you, right? If you think about it, a business which is bigger than that, you know, imagine a business that has 50, 100, 200, 1,000 employees, right? They're probably going to have a head office, a, you know, legit like building in New York or whatever with like a chief marketing department. And it's like, they're generally less likely to want to work with freelancers. So if you're looking for a job at the company, cool. But I'm going to guess you got into copywriting because you don't want to work a fucking job like a wage slave for the rest of your life because you want to be free and earn money on your own terms as a freelancer. So probably you want to work as a freelancer. Now, generally company size with 1 to 10 has the most chance of actually working with freelancers. So I would recommend that. Next is industry. This is actually an optional filter. You can use it if you want, don't use it if you don't want. So for example, coaches and consultants, real estate, golf, etc., whatever your industry is, feel free to enter that into the industry field. Years in current position, I would recommend you go ideally 3 to 5 years or more because if they, you know, haven't been around for that long, it's like they're probably just, it's a little bit experimental. And so it's like, maybe you don't want to work with them, right? So ideally 3 to 5 years or more. Now, if you're getting limited search results and you're getting like too few people, you can also include the 1 to 2 years bracket if it's too little. Next is keywords. Now, this is the part that really fucks people up, okay? I would generally advise you don't actually use the keyword search field as the way you have to understand. This is particularly as it pertains to LinkedIn, right? So these filtering settings are all here, and then the keywords is up there. Now, what a lot of people do when they try and search LinkedIn Sales Navigator for prospects is, let's say they're going after, you know, Forex trading coaches or something. They'll type in Forex trading, or, you know, they're going after golf coaches or doctors or whatever. They'll type it in the keyword search field. The problem with that is that LinkedIn is going to scan everyone's profile for every post they have ever made, which has those keywords in it. And that is obviously not ideal, right? So let's say you want to work with like Facebook ad agency owners. So literally, if you type in like Facebook ad agency into this keywords field here, it's going to show anyone who's ever made a post in the history of LinkedIn mentioning Facebook ad agency, right? So it literally, like, it will come up with people who are completely random prospects who will just say, oh, you know, I'm thinking about hiring a Facebook ad agency. Any recommendations? Right? And it's like, that's obviously not who we want as a prospect. So the only time I would actually go ahead and use the keyword search field would be like if you want to hone in on a really particular niche. So for example, let's say you were in the alternate health, experimental health, marijuana, cannabis industry, or whatever, right? You wanted cannabis related companies. Well, then you could add, you know, cannabis or hemp or GHC or marijuana in that keyword section, because chances are anyone who's making posts on that topic is probably heavily involved with that niche. Okay. So that's when I would use it. Now, some other really cool filters that you can experiment with are going to be technologies. This is exclusive to Apollo and Instantly, at least as of right now. These softwares and tools, they move so quickly. By the time you're watching this, it could be completely outdated, and maybe LinkedIn Sales Nav has it as well. I don't know. But If it has it, definitely experiment using the technologies filter. So for example, right, if you were going after like business coaches, well, you might want to include technologies like ClickFunnels, Google AdWords, ActiveCampaign, WordPress, Klaviyo, etc. You know, if you're going after e-com stores, you would definitely type in Klaviyo as like a technology, because that is the primary email marketing service used by e-com stores. It's just better for e-com, right? So you know that if they're already using Klaviyo, it means they're already doing email marketing, right? If they're already using ActiveCampaign, they're already doing email marketing. And this ties into our whole philosophy of we want to help winners win more. We don't want to help losers win, right? If someone's not doing email marketing, it's way too big of a hurdle to try and convince them to start doing it. So we want to pick people who are already using these tools and using these softwares. We can come in and we can say, hey, I can help you squeeze an extra 20, 30K a month out of it, right? That's what we want. So really powerful tool. By the way, if you're wondering how does it know this, it essentially stalks their IP address, and it's honestly pretty basic. Any developer could tell you what tech stack someone is using. It's not that hard. Privacy in 2024 and beyond is a bit of a myth. This is actually just the tip of the iceberg. It gets way scarier, as I'll show you in a second. So the next one is job postings. This again is only on Apollo and Instantly, but obviously it's like if they have job postings, or I think in Apollo, it's the filter is called hiring for, then obviously, you know, if you can try typing in copywriter or email marketing manager, or just search for general marketing roles, then it's like, well, if these people are actively searching for a copywriter or an email marketer and so on, then it's like, probably a good idea to send them a cold email, right? And mention that. Next is email quality. This is only in Apollo settings. So if you are using Apollo, just make sure you click always check verified emails only. We don't want to be sending to any emails who are like unsure, maybe they're bounced, maybe they're not real. Okay, that's going to fuck up your email deliverability. We don't want that. Another pretty nifty one is mentioned in the news. This is actually on all three of the platforms. So think about it, right? If you go right here and you go mentioned in news, tick that, turn that on. You can leverage that in your personalized first line, right? So you can mention, hey, I just saw that, I saw your latest article on XYZ. Or, hey, I recently saw that you got a feature in a new major news publication. Congrats, that's really awesome. Or you can target companies that have recently received an investment or funding. Cut that out. Make a joke about it. You could say, hey, at least you're newsworthy, right? That means we have potential to go pretty far together. Something like that, right? You can crack a joke about it. The whole point is that you're actually personalizing the email to something that's relevant to them. So it's just going to catch your attention. It's going to show you paying attention. And basically, it'll make it look like a personalized email, even if it's not. Now in Apollo, you can dig down even further. This is where I think Apollo really has the edge over LinkedIn Sales Nav and Instantly is like how targeted you can get with these filtering settings. So in Apollo, for example, you can even target companies who have recently received an investment or like a funding, Series A, Series B. That means obviously they're growing. And if they're growing, it means they're hiring, they're looking to expand and so on. And it probably means, again, if we take it all the way back to this diagram at the very beginning, it probably means they're in this now buyer category. Another super ninja one by Apollo is something called signals, right? This is unique to Apollo, but you can actually search for people who have literally just launched a new product or service, right? And it's like, hey, if you think about it, you can leverage that in your outreach and you can say, dude, just saw you launched XYZ for company name. Super cool. I actually specialize in helping niche, whatever you are, launch and, do 6-7 figure launches with my email sequences. Does that sound like it's worth a chat, right? So it's like just specifically mentioning stuff like that. It just shows them that you've done your research, even though you haven't because there's a filter, but that's how it comes across. And that really makes a huge difference in your outreach, right? Apollo, it's even got stuff like office expansion. It means they're growing. It's got settings like cutting costs. So that means you can if you have some sort of service that can help them cut costs, then you can say like, maybe, I can help you save money on your Facebook ads by increasing your LTV from your email list, right? It's like, hey, I noticed you're cutting costs. I can help you save money on your Facebook ads by increasing the LTV from your email list, right? That sort of stuff, right? It just helps personalize the message. Now, you thought that was cool. Wait till we get to this. Apollo, this is where Apollo really shines. It is the buying intent filter, and this is super powerful. So this basically uses AI to stalk the IP addresses of the company's head team members and essentially see what they're searching for. So you can actually select relevant topics, industries, and for example, let's say the CEO or whatever chief executives of the company have recently been searching on their own private laptops for a email copywriter or for a Facebook ad specialist or for an SEO person or for a videographer or whatever. Apollo knows that, right? And it will essentially list them as being a high buying intent. So like I said, privacy 2024 fucking non-existent. Just in case you know, right? Just in case you thought privacy was the thing. Yeah, hate to break it to you. Your iPhone, this thing that you keep near and dear to your heart, yeah, guess what? It's listening to every conversation you're having at all times. Why do you think, if you've ever had a conversation with a friend, that all of a sudden you start seeing ads for that particular thing despite never having Googled it? That's how, okay? Apple, yes, on the down low, sells the data to Facebook. Hush, hush. They pretend they don't, but they do, okay? I know people on the inside who've confirmed that to be true, okay? So anyways, that is how they know. Whether it's ethical or not, doesn't really fucking matter. We're here to make money. So what you can do is you can actually select relevant topics, industries, just leave it on the default, like 1 to 3 months, and select medium and high. Now, if you really want to take this to the next level, the ninja mode of this, you can take that lead list, right? Download the lead list as a CSV file, get all their names and emails, and you can actually upload that to Google and Facebook ads if you know how to run ads. You can run ads specifically to those people. Imagine knowing that these people are actively looking to hire an email copywriter. You spend $100 on a Facebook ads campaign, target this exact lead list of people. Facebook's going to show your ads to them, knowing with 100% certainty that they are in that now buyer market. Fucking game over, all right? There's a lot you can do with these filtering settings. Now, if you thought that was cool, oh my goodness. We haven't even got to the secret sauce yet. This really is the secret sauce that makes this all work. I see no one else talking about this. In fact, the only other human being alive I've ever seen mention this is Ravi Abudallah. Can't say his last name still. Absolute rock star. You should check him out on YouTube. He's the only other person I've ever seen talking about this. And it's the concept of using Boolean searches. This really is the secret sauce that almost no one else is using, okay? So what this is it really allows you to narrow your target marketing using operations like and, or, not, brackets, and quotation marks, that sort of thing. So the place where you want to use this is in the job title field. I'm going to use LinkedIn here specifically as an example, but really this will apply to all of the platforms. So right here, it's going to be current job title. That's really where you would use this Boolean search that I'm about to show you. You can use this to really hone in on your prey like a hawk. So let me explain them one by one. So quotation marks. You can use these to narrow down search results to a specific phrase. So for example, if you're typing in just fitness coach, right? If we go into here, we go current job titles and we go fitness coach. What's going to happen is it's going to show you anyone with either the words fitness or coach in their title. And you can see why that would be problematic, right? It's going to show you anyone from fitness influencers to fitness journalists, business coaches, relationship coaches, golf coaches, anyone with either fitness or coach, which is just going to be a whole bunch of people who are not relevant. So right here, right? If I type in fitness coach in current job title, you can see, yeah, there's definitely some fitness coaches coming up too, but look at who else is showing up in, we have 50,000 results here, right? There's tons of these people. So it's like this person, author and coach, nothing mentioning fitness whatsoever, right? We keep scrolling down. This guy, business coach, nothing to do with fitness at all. So it's like literally anyone who has fitness or coach in their bio, residual income transformation coach, like not relevant at all. So that's the problem. That's the biggest pitfall people face when they're trying to search on these platforms. So what we can do instead is if we use quotations and we actually type in fitness coach in quotes, that is only going to show people with those exact words in their title. So if we exit that out, let's go back into current job title. We go fitness coach in quotes. We'll see how it goes from 50K down to 32K, right? So it's eliminated literally 18,000 people who are not fitness coaches, and it's only going to show people who have exactly fitness coach in their job title in their bio, right? Very useful. Next operator is going to be and. So pretty self-explanatory. It's only going to show results where all the keywords are present. So when would you use this? It would be when the quotation results are too specific or if your market is too broad. So for example, if I type in fitness coach, that's only going to give you people with the exact job title of fitness coach and 0 other words, right? So you can see how that would be maybe too narrow. So if instead we use the and operator and we go fitness and coach, that is going to give you everyone who has both of those words in their title or in their profile. For example, if someone refers to themselves in their job title as a health and fitness coach, then they would come up because they have both the words fitness and coach in their title. Women's fitness coach for dads, etc. These people would come up if you use the and operator, but if you only use the quotations, because it's not exactly word for word fitness coach, because there's these other words in there, right? Fitness coach for dads, then they wouldn't come up. So we can see if we search here, we go current job title, fitness and coach, we can see how it goes from 32,000 to back to 50K plus, right? So that is broadening our net a little more. Next is the or operator. Pretty self-explanatory, requires either keyword to be present. So we can use this to broaden the market if they refer to themselves in different ways. So for example, how many ways are there of calling yourself a coach? There's tons, right? You could be a coach or a consultant or a mentor or an advisor or an expert or a trainer or a specialist. They all mean coach. It's the same thing, but they're just different ways of referring to it. So people might refer to themselves in different ways, and we want to cast a really wide, broad net to make sure we're capturing every single person who's in our target niche. And that's how we would do that. The final one here is going to be not. So this is really to eliminate undesirable results we might be getting that are coming up frequently. So for example, with this particular niche here of fitness coaches, what you might find is a lot of these people are actually just local personal trainers at some local random gym. You know, they're on a $20, $30 an hour salary, just work for the gym. You know, they don't have an email list. They don't have their own offer. They're not an online fitness coach. They're not a prospect, right? So if you're emailing these people and it's like, hey, I can help you make all this money with your email list. They're like, dude, what are you talking about? Like, I don't have an email list, right? So for example, if you find people who are coming up again and again who aren't relevant, you can use this not filter and you can add that. So if I type in fitness and coach, not personal trainer, there you can see, boom, we've already lost 6,000 people who would have been general personal trainers who wouldn't have been target prospects. So we can save ourselves, you know, credits and exports and emailing irrelevant people, getting spam complaints and all of that. Okay, we're trying to get as targeted as possible here. So that's why you would use that. Now, this is where it gets really ninja. So we can use brackets to combine all of these operators to find really exactly who we're looking for. Let me give you an example. So if you wanted online fitness trainers, but not personal trainers, here is how we would combine all of these different operators. So we would say, open bracket, fitness, or health, or fat loss, or weight loss, or strength, or bodybuilding, or bodybuilding with a space, or strength and conditioning, or strength and conditioning with an ampersand, or muscle. So if they have any of those words, right, in quotes, and open bracket, once again, this example up here, coach or consultant or mentor or advisor or expert or trainer or specialist, right? Because they could refer to themselves in so many different ways, right? Some of them might refer to themselves as a fitness coach, sure, but others might say they're a health consultant or they're a weight loss expert or they're a strength and conditioning specialist, right? And so this is going to catch every single combination of those. And then of course we add to the end, not personal trainer. So if we copy this in, throw that into LinkedIn, and then we'll see how we can narrow down the search results from there. And that is how we can hone in on exactly who we're looking for, right? So I'll give you another example. If you're going after e-com coaches, let's say, well, think about how many different ways that e-com coaches might refer to themselves, right? This is what is part of the research process. That's why we did the research. That's why it's so important, okay? There's so many different types of e-com. It's not just e-com, right? There's like e-com or dropshipping or Amazon FBA or Shopify or eBay or Facebook Marketplace. Those are all branches of e-com. And then we combine that with all of the, coach or consultant or mentor or expert or guru. Hopefully no one's calling themselves a guru, or that's probably a major red flag and you should stay away from them. You can see what I mean, right? So it's like you combine all these filters and that is how you can get who you're really looking for. I'll give you a pro tip. If you are going to do this, make sure you write this in your notes first, just like I have done here, and then copy it over into LinkedIn. Boom, into the filter there. In case LinkedIn glitches and shits itself, right? Because LinkedIn has this tendency where it just deletes everything you wrote, and it would be a shame if you wrote out something that was, 200 words and then it just deleted it all, okay? So if I was gonna do this properly, I would make this like 2-3 times longer. I would include every single possible variation I could think of all of these terms, and then throw it in. Once you've generated your search results, LinkedIn, Apollo, instantly, whatever it is, you want to test and refine your search results until you have a list of around about 10,000 prospects is a good place to start, because again, we're going to be filtering that down even further, finding the emails who are verified and so on. And that's probably going to end up with a list of about 5,000, which is what we want. So once we have our search results, we want to click on 5 to 10 random profiles, review them, make sure they look like ideal target prospects. So for example, we will go through here, just click the top 5, or scroll down, randomly click some random profiles, Joydeep, etc. And just go through their profiles and make sure they actually look like a prospect, right? So it's like health, wellness, and mindset coaching. Cool, perfect, she's a prospect. Top 15 coaches in Las Vegas. That's a bit questionable. I might have to go back and edit my filtering settings, right? This person helping HR leaders productivity. Wellness consultant trainer. Okay, so she might be a prospect. This person, children's author. Okay, definitely not. So I need to go back and revisit my filtering settings and see what's up with that, right? So you see what I mean? So basically you click on a bunch of random profiles, review them. And if you like 5 out of 5, 10 out of 10, you're like, boom, these are my perfect ideal prospects. You're ready to move on. If not, go back and edit the filtering settings. Now, of course, I didn't bother to enter in any of the rest of the stuff. This is why it's all these random people appearing. But you would do all of these filtering settings that I mentioned above, and you would actually get a legit targeted lead list once you do all of these, okay? So last step is you just want to tweak it accordingly until you're confident you have the right people. So you can add and remove these filters if you found that adding certain filters, like maybe company size or position or location or whatever, it's restricting it too much and you have too little and you only have like 500 people. Then just try removing some of the filters until you have about 10,000 people. And likewise, if you're getting 50,000, 100,000, whatever, then try and narrow it down further until you get to about 10K. That's kind of the sweet spot. So once we've done that, on to the next step. And just like that, we've done the hardest part. We're nearly through the woods. There are just 3 crucial steps left to go before we can get to step 6, which is the part where you make a lot of money. And that's the part that makes me really excited. So let's talk about step number 4, screen. We are going to extract, filter, and format this data that we've just extracted from LinkedIn, Apollo, or Instantly. And really, this is where we prepare for launch, okay? This is where things get exciting. This is also a step that people tend to completely forget, skip over, and it's the reason why their outreach campaigns don't work. So we really want to make sure that we do this properly. So now that we have our lead list, we want to extract their emails. Like I mentioned, we don't have their emails yet. All LinkedIn's given us is just a ton of results here. So what we're going to do, extract their emails, filter them, and format our data so that it's ready to send. This is a really commonly overlooked but crucial step. So taking the time to really do this properly is going to be the difference between your campaign completely flopping or absolutely crushing. So let's talk about your 5-step launch checklist. Step number 1, it's going to be to extract their emails. LinkedIn Sales Navigator, like I said, it only gives us a list of profiles, not their contact information. So we now need to mass scrape their emails. Find Email, like I mentioned, is my favorite tool to do this. And it's only really needed for LinkedIn Sales Navigator, and Apollo, like I mentioned, Instantly already has this. Now, imagine if I did all of these settings properly, like I showed you before, just for lack of time. We don't have that time. So super quick, let's say I was doing this properly. We go company head count 1 to 10. We would go industry, we go company headcount 1 to 10. We would come down here. We would go to years in current position. I would probably make this at least 3 to 5 years, 6 to 10, more than 10. Geography, we want to add in all of those tier 1 countries like I mentioned. So Australia, United States, United Kingdom, Canada, New Zealand, Ireland, Singapore, Netherlands, Germany. I would add in all the Scandinavian countries as well. So, you know, Sweden, Norway, Denmark, Finland, Iceland. I'm not even going to bother typing in. I've been there. It's a really cool place, but no one lives there. So literally not even worth my time to type in. Okay. So the big 5 really are US, UK, Canada, Australia, New Zealand. So we have all of them. We're all good. You can see we got 39K results. Industry. Obviously, we're going to want to go fitness, wellness and fitness. I'd probably type in health as well. Health and human services. Maybe not. Might leave that one blank. And then I'll go professional training and coaching, and then I'll also add in business consulting and services. That's pretty much all the settings that I would really use for this. As you can see, we've got 17,000 people here. That's looking pretty healthy. If I wanted to nail this down even further, then I could come in here, I could optimize the current job title, and I could potentially narrow that down a little bit further. I could also play with these other filtering settings to get a little bit tighter on who I'm after. But for now, 17K, 10K, it's all pretty much, it's within ballpark. So I'd be happy to go ahead, export this lead list. Now, Find Email is going to give me 5,000 exports. So may as well try and get it down as close as we can to 5,000. As you can see, I've got the Chrome extension of Find Email installed right there. It's coming up with the option export to CSV. Boom, there you go. I'm going to type in 5,000 and it's going to give me 5,000 of these people. So we may as well make them the 5,000 most targeted that we can. That is step 1, extracting their emails. Super easy. You can do it with one click in Find Email. Next step is going to be to verify their emails. Now, all of these apps, Find Email, Instantly, etc., Apollo, they claim to only give you verified emails, but it's always a good idea to validate that all of those emails are actually real and they're actually active. Okay. So this is going to help protect your domain reputation, your sender reputation. Like I mentioned, just search email verifier, email validator on AppSumo. You can find one with a ripper lifetime deal, $59, you're good to go. And you just want to select safe to send. So the one that I use, the one that I've been using forever, is just called Email List Verify. They all basically do the same thing. So it's going to give you an option. It's going to filter all the emails and it's going to say which ones do you want to keep, right? And there's like safe to send. All right, here we are inside my Email List Verify account just for demonstration purposes. So you can see I've done a bunch of exports here in the past. What you do, you simply go in here, you upload your CSV file that's going to be created by Find Email. That's just a giant list of email addresses and names. So as you can see here, out of 35,000 emails, only 32,000 of them are actually valid and good to send. If I had actually tried to send emails to these other, to these other 3,000 people, then that would really harm my domain reputation because I'm emailing people, whose emails are invalid or they're going to bounce, or even worse, the absolute worst case is these spam traps here. So in case you're unfamiliar, all a spam trap is very simple. It's essentially Gmail and Yahoo and Outlook and these ESPs, the email client's way of combating spam. So what they'll do is they'll essentially put these fake emails out there into the marketplace and they'll leak them into these lead lists so that anyone who is an actual spammer, who is like blasting emails out to any human being who has a pulse, right, who doesn't go to these steps of filtering their lead list, is going to ultimately end up emailing one of these spam traps. So for example, lol@gmail.com, right? I'll give you a quick example. So if you go to one of my funnels, one of my trainings right here, you can go watch a training. Very good training, by the way. There's an example there. lol@gmail.com is a verified spam trap. That is Gmail specifically trying to catch you because it's a fake email. That's not anyone's real email. So if anyone tries to email lol@gmail.com, Gmail knows, hey man, what are you doing? That's not a real person. Why are you emailing them, right? And so they will essentially penalize you heavily and likely put you in spam. If you email enough spam traps, they're going to put you in spam because they know, hey man, where are you getting all these emails from? These aren't real people, and they're going to throw you straight in spam. So that's why it's super important that we filter our lead list and we make sure we're only emailing active and verified email lists. It's a really important step in the process. So step 3, we want to upload into Instantly. Okay, so now's the time we want to take that CSV file that we got from Email List Verify or whatever you choose to use, upload that into Instantly, and we want to create a new campaign. Super easy to do. All you do is you go to campaigns, add new, add leads, and then upload the CSV file. That is the option right there. So boom, here I am, and instantly I would go campaigns, add new, my campaign, test, whatever you want to call it, add some leads, boom, upload the CSV file that you just downloaded, and then click to upload. That's all you would do for that. Super easy, super straightforward. Now, moving on, you just want to leave that blank for now. So it's essentially when you do this and when you upload the lead list, let's just go to a demo campaign that I have. This is just a test one. So there's going to be analytics, leads. This is the lead list that you just uploaded. Sequences, this is where we're going to write your emails, which we'll talk about in a second. Schedule, options, and then we're going to send it off. Okay. So super straightforward. Next bit here, really, really key. We want to clean the CSV file. So you have to remember that the raw data that's in each cell, right? In each of those cells of the CSV file, it's going to have first name, last name, email, location, etc., depends on how sophisticated your software is and how many columns it adds and what you choose to add and so on. But you have to remember that the raw data that is in each of these cells is exactly what is going to appear in your emails. So we need to make sure that it is formatted correctly, right? Because if you're emailing people and you're saying, hey, first name, right, in brackets, then what often happens in like LinkedIn in particular, for example, is, there might be like last names in the first name field. So it might be like Sean Ferres, right? Or it might be like their name's not in title case, or it could be Sean in caps lock or Sean in all lowercase. It could have titles in there like Sean Ferres, comma, CEO, comma, director, Dr. Sean Ferres, emojis in the title. People have all sorts of crazy shit, right? And it's like, imagine you got a cold email and it was like, hey, Sean Ferres, I love what you're doing over at Ferres Enterprises Proprietary Limited. You'd be like, dude, what are you talking about? Like, no one would ever say that in real life. It's obvious you just scraped this from some sort of a lead list and they're going to ignore the email. They're going to delete it straight away. And it would be such a massive shame if you put all this hard work and effort and energy into doing all of these steps that we've gone over only to just cripple and destroy your success with something so silly and easily avoidable like not cleaning up the lead list here. Okay, so it's really, really important. We want to clean up the first name field, the company extensions as well. We want to remove those extensions, LLC. If it's like, hey, Russell Brunson, I love what you're doing over at ClickFunnels LLC. It's like, dude, what the fuck? Like, no one would say that in real life. So we want to make sure that we are really formatting it in a way where it sounds personalized. The whole idea really is to sound like it's a personalized email. So we want to sound like it was sent directly from you. And any of these signs are going to completely destroy that. So not formatting these properly is literally going to destroy any and all chances of your email campaigns actually succeeding. Now, back in the good old days, 6 months ago, right? We used to actually have to do this manually and it was extremely cumbersome, time consuming. You might hire, of course you would hire a VA to do it, but still they would take 2, 3, 4 weeks to do it. It was such a pain in the ass because you had to imagine going through 5,000 rows of a CSV file and manually doing this for each person, each company name, cleaning it up. Huge pain, right? Now, instantly, thankfully, about 6 months ago, they released this AI prompts feature. And we can use AI and ChatGPT to do all of this for us, which makes things very handy. So all you got to do is jump over into Instantly. Right here in the Leads tab, you can see the little brain icon. That is the AI prompts. That's what we want to use for this. Okay. So 3 prompts you definitely want to make sure to use is number 1, first name cleanup. You can quite literally just search first name and it should come right up. As you can see there, first name cleanup. That is going to reformat the first name to be ready for outreach, exactly as it says. Next one that you want to use is company name cleanup. So if we go ahead, we can type that in. It's actually the most popular one on Instantly, as you can see, 15 million runs, right? So that is basically going to do exactly as it says. That's going to remove those company extensions like LLC, proprietary limited, and so on. So it sounds more natural and personal when you're reaching out. Another really great one that I love, this one's kind of optional. It's by my friend Jay, Lead Gen Jay. It's called Find Competitor. Now, this would be more so if you were emailing a whole bunch of different niches and you didn't know what their competitor actually was. I would recommend, obviously, you stick with one particular niche and you can just mention the same competitor in every email for every person. But let's say you're emailing a whole variety of niches, that would be a super useful one to use as well. So definitely experiment, try playing around with some of these other AI prompts as well. You can use Instantly's AI ChatGPT integration to add other personalized fields, for example, a personalized first line or icebreaker, right? So you can actually use ChatGPT to write a custom personalized first line for each person. That is actually insanely powerful. Never before has this been possible since the ChatGPT integration. This is absolutely huge because we can take what used to take hours, days, weeks, and months manually emailing people one at a time and researching them and finding something to talk about, writing a personalized first line. Now we can just have AI do all of that for us. It is so cool, right? You can compliment them on their work, find a pain point. So for example, you can mention in the email, hey, I know what it's like to have these multiple 6-figure months and then have nothing left at the end of the month because your expenses are so high or whatever, right? Short company description. Hey man, I know you must be super busy like closing multi-7-figure real estate deals, but I wanted to reach out and let you know about blah, 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 right? Company location. Hey, by the way, just something as simple as mentioning in the PS, like the prompt knows the country that they live in from their IP address. Maybe let's say they live in Chicago and it's like, hey, by the way, like I've always wanted to visit Chicago. Like, how is it? Like, do you have any recommendations? I'm going there next year. What's the best part of town to visit? Is there anything I need to do there? Right? So it's just like adding those little layers of personalization is so powerful, right? For example, find popular landmark. You can say like, hey, I'm planning my honeymoon in Paris. I always wanted to visit the Eiffel Tower. Like, does it really live up to the hype? Right? And it's literally like the AI would write that knowing that they live in Paris. Like that's really fucking cool. And it sounds like it's obviously a personalized email, even though it's not. And you can do this for thousands of people at a time. You can even find, you can use restaurant recommendation and it can find like a local restaurant in the city that they live in. And it's like, by the way, have you been to XYZ restaurant? I heard it's really good. You should check it out. So it's just adding all these little tidbits of personalization will make your response rates so much higher because it makes it seem like an actual personalized email, like you're actually taking the time to reach out. So experiment, have fun with these. Try different prompts. You can even go ahead and create your own prompts. As you can see, my templates, you can create a prompt, literally type in exactly what you want it to do. I could literally tell it, take the first name field, remove all last names, make sure it's formatted into title case, and remove any other extensions and emojis and so on, so it's ready for outreach, right? And then play around with the prompts, generate the test outputs until you get essentially what you're looking for. So you can even make your own ones as well. Really, really cool. Like this is super powerful stuff. Now, next important step, the fifth step here, this is super important. We want to make sure that we review the outputs for accuracy, okay? So this kind of goes without saying, but you'd be surprised how many people skip this. So scroll through the lead list, like actually check the outputs from the AI, right? Like look, you don't have to go through every single column of 5,000 people, but definitely go through like a few dozen of them. Make sure that it actually does what it says it does. Make sure the column is formatted correctly. Like review, a few dozen of the AI generated first lines and the copy. Like some of these AI, first lines are definitely hit or miss. So kind of make sure that they're correct. Make sure that they make sense. Make sure they read well. Like, is it something that a human being would actually say in an email to another human? If it's not, then either try a different prompt or just honestly, if you can't get it to work, scrap the column entirely and like don't even go with the personalized first line. Just write a generic personalized first line that sounds personal. So for example, like a generic first line that would sound personalized would be something along the lines of like, hey name, super impressed by what you've built with company name. Been following you for a while. I can see you actually genuinely give a shit about your customers and your client results. And in an industry full of sharks, that's honestly like super refreshing to see. So I wanted to give you props for that. Something like that, right? That's like a generic first line you could write to 5,000 people, but something that feels really valuable, like really personalized as a compliment. So you could do that if the AI outreach prompts fail, right? Now, I promise you, the extra time that you spend on this step is going to pay off in dividends. The higher quality your lead list, that CSV file, is directly going to dictate the results that you get from this whole system. So a couple notes here before we end this section is note number one, in order to actually use these AI prompts, you're going to see that if you attempt to use them, it's going to say you're going to need to use an API. You're going to need to have an API account. So I would recommend go to openai.com. The way this works is you basically need to sign up for a pack of credits. So you need to buy credits to use the ChatGPT 4 API. So if we go down here to pricing, as you can see, it's actually not that expensive. It's only $60 and you get 1,000,000 tokens. What does 1,000,000 tokens get you? As you can see there, it's about 1,000 tokens per 750 words. So 1,000,000 tokens gets you 750,000 words, which is more than we need, right? So if we think about, let's say we have 5,000 leads, 750,000 words divided by 5,000, that gets you 150 words per prospect. That should be more than enough, right? Now, as you'll see here, if we go down from ChatGPT 4 to ChatGPT 3.5, it's $1.50 instead of $60 for 1,000,000 tokens. But honestly, ChatGPT 4 is that much better, especially when it comes to writing these kind of like first lines and stuff. It absolutely blows ChatGPT 3.5 out of the water. So I would recommend spending the extra and just getting it right, because at the end of the day, like that personalized first line could really be the make or break thing that lands you a 2K, 3K, 4K month client, right? So for the sake of an extra, $59, absolutely recommend, that you don't just like burn your leads by writing shitty first lines. By the time you're watching this, who knows? We might have fucking ChatGPT 9 and it just shits on everything. So this is all relevant, up to date as of May 2024, but these technologies move very quickly, so I would just recommend and advise that you use the latest one. Now, quick note number 2, if you are stuck on any part of this entire setup process, whether that's connecting domains, setting up a campaign, importing leads, Instantly literally has a full free step-by-step setup guide in their Instantly Accelerator mini course. How do you access that? Right down here, Instantly Accelerator. They have a full course on they'll walk you through absolutely everything that you need to know. So if you're stuck on anything, highly recommend go through this course and then that'll clear everything up for you. Now, with that said and done, we're on to the final piece of the puzzle. That is going to be writing your actual 5 email outreach sequence. So let's talk about that. Having the best lead list in the world means absolutely nothing if we're not able to actually get these people to stop and pay attention to you. Shocking, I know. We call this process, drumroll please, email copywriting. Now, luckily, because you are, in fact, an email copywriter, this is your area of expertise, so you shouldn't need any help from me in this department. That's it. That's done. That is the end of the training. Okay, maybe I have a few more tricks up my sleeve. Listen here, chump. Cold emails differ quite greatly from sending email broadcasts to a list in one very, very big way. That is going to be the person doesn't know you, they don't like you, and they don't trust you. The complete opposite to what you're used to when you're writing your email copy, to a list who actually opted in. These guys are literally as cold as ice. Okay, so that is a major difference when it comes to email copywriting versus sending cold emails. So because of this, we need to first establish a relationship of rapport. And when I say rapport, people think about like, oh, your favorite color is blue? My favorite color is blue as well. Wow, we should be friends. You breathe oxygen? I breathe oxygen too. We should be friends. That's not what rapport is. All rapport means is a relationship of responsiveness, meaning I ask, you answer. I say something, I email you, you email me back. That's all it means to be in rapport, right? We're not trying to get married on the first date here, okay? This is not married at first sight. I don't know if that's a show in your country. It's a show in Australia. It's fucking stupid. But anyways, whatever. We're not trying to get married on the first date. The goal of a cold email is not to make the sale. Okay, I would even argue the goal of a cold email is not even to book a call. Okay, the goal of a cold email is to elicit a positive response that creates a sales opportunity. That is the key distinction. So with that said, I want to go over 7 key pillars of a winning cold email. Pillar number 1, it is short and simple. You guys have to remember, okay, your prospects are busy. They are high-level business owners. They're extremely busy. They get dozens, probably hundreds of cold emails a day. You have literally 3 to 5 seconds maximum to get their attention before they stop reading forever and like literally forget you even exist, okay? So skip the pleasantries, skip the waffle, just get straight to the point. Every word, every sentence in the email needs to have a purpose or it shouldn't be there. Next, relevant to your target prospect. So really keep this in mind. Like, who are you targeting? What niche are they in? What is the size of their company? Like, are they a multi-million-dollar corporation? Are they a one-man show, a solopreneur? Or are they somewhere in between, right? What is their position in the company? Are they the CEO? Or are they maybe the chief marketing officer or the chief operations officer, the sales director? Those people are going to have different pain points, goals, and bottlenecks, right? Like a six-figure coach who's just like him and one VA is obviously going to have very different pain points than a $500 million CEO with 500 employees, right? So startup versus corporation. Next is proof. Proof is your god in copy. If you know anything about copy, you know how important proof is. Now, when I say proof, like a lot of people think that this has to mean you have these kick-ass, crazy testimonials, case studies, and results like me with CMB, right? The truth is, proof does not necessarily need to mean like concrete, tangible results and testimonials. Proof is literally anything that increases deliverability. Anything that increases believability is proof. So this means client results, case studies, testimonials, even studies, right? You could show them, studies and articles, right? There are tons of studies and articles out there that talk about how email is the most profitable marketing channel that exists. It has like a 42x to 1, ROI or whatever. So mentioning those things, anything that supports your claim, right? Links to your website, your socials, your samples. It shows you're a real human being. It shows you're like actually a professional, right? So that increases believability. It's proof. Having a strong offer and a strong guarantee is in itself a form of proof because it subcommunicates that obviously you're pretty confident in your ability or you wouldn't be offering that, right? You can even use implied social proof. So for example, just, phrasing things like, typically my clients see a 20% increase in revenue within the first 30 days, something like that. What does that imply? You're in demand, you have a lot of clients, right? Or, hey, I know your competitor is doing XYZ. I know your top 3 competitors, name, and name, are all doing this strategy. I think you should do it as well, and it will absolutely crush. What does that imply? You have industry insider knowledge. You have like this insider scoop on their competitors. That's a form of proof. Even when you're trying to book the call, it's like, hey, I'd love to jump on a chat. I'm busy tomorrow, but I've got 20 minutes free on Thursday. Does that work for you? 9 a.m. AEST, right? Boom. What does that imply? You're in demand. You're a busy person. Again, that's a form of proof because if you're busy, it probably means you're in demand and probably means you have clients. Now, the number one form of proof by far is always demonstration, okay? This means your email copy. This means if you're offering email copywriting as a service, your email copy in the email is gonna be pretty fucking important, okay? It's your email copy, dumbass. You'd be so surprised. I get so many emails and it's like, hi, I am an email copywriter. Do you need any email marketing services? I can write high converting, personality driven emails and I always deliver on time. And it's like, dude, I'm literally reading your email right now and it's drier than a camel's asshole in a sandstorm. So it's like, demonstrate your writing abilities. Stop telling them how good of a writer you are. Show them with your writing. That is the ultimate form of proof, is your actual emails that you send them, right? It's so obvious, but so many people just forget this for some reason. So wherever possible, you want to make your case studies, testimonials relevant to your target prospects, their pain points and desires. So if you ideally have, any sort of case studies, results, testimonials from people within the same niche, then definitely use those. If you don't, let's say you worked with like a Forex trading coach and then now, your niche is like pet store owners or something. Something is always better than nothing. So you can definitely mention the other person. Just don't mention the niche. Just say, one of my other clients got a, 33% increase in open rates in sales or something like that. But of course, the more relevant, the more similar they are to your target prospect, the better it's going to work. Last bit here is you can always borrow credibility if you need to, but never lie. So what that means, like for example, for you guys who are in CMB, obviously you have been coached and mentored by myself, by Sam and Tyler, people who have written for Grant Cardone, Ty Lopez, VShred, BioTrust, major 9-figure companies. You've been personally mentored by them and you have their exact email system. So you can always mention the system that you use is the same as these big names. And that way you can leverage their credibility and you can essentially say, hey, I use the same email marketing system that was used to build Grant Cardone, Ty Lopez, VShred, BioTrust, and so on. Only if you're in ZMB. Don't fucking say that if you're not, okay? Because it's not true. But the point I'm trying to get at here is, let's say you learnt from Stefan Georgi or whatever, right? You can always kind of like borrow their credibility if you need to, AKA the system that I'm using has produced $1 billion in sales, whatever. Not you personally, but the system, okay? So that's kind of like a backup little workaround if you don't have any proof that you can use. All we're really trying to get at here, we're trying to answer the big question, why should I trust you? That's what it comes down to at the end of the day. You're a total stranger in my inbox. Why should I listen to a word you say? That's what we're trying to answer with this proof element here. Next bit here, key component of a cold email is going to be personalized. I always like to view this through the lens of we're talking human to human, not business to business, right? There's always stuff like, are you in the B2B market or the B2C market, business to consumer, business to business? At the end of the day, none of that shit fucking matters. It's human to human. You're a human, they're a human on the other end of the email. You're not talking to a corporation. It doesn't matter if they're $1 billion, $100 billion business. There is one human being reading that email. They have emotions, they have feelings. That is who we're talking to. We're not talking to a corporation, okay? So the prospect should feel like this email was literally sent to only them, no one else. It wasn't mass sent to 4,000 people, even if it was, okay? It should be friendly, it should be casual. It should feel like an email from a friend, okay? So it means like no link, like bunch of links and footers and all this stuff. The more personalized the email, the higher your response rate is going to be, okay? But the trade-off is that it will be harder to scale. So that's why we talked about the last module. We went over personalized outreach. And if there's anyone who you're dying to write for, then definitely go with the personalized approach. But the more you can use these personalized prompts and so on, the more responses you're going to get. That's where these custom AI fields and prompts personalization come in clutch. Next, bikinis, not barbells. What does this mean? What I'm trying to get at here is, I used to have a friend, a fitness coach. He was pretty successful. He was stuck at around 40K a month or something like that. And the lesson here is, he would sell his program and he would talk all about like, hey, you're going to do the most grueling workouts and you're going to track your macros and you're going to fucking do an hour of cardio day and kettlebell training and this and that, because he loves fitness and that's his jam and he gets excited about that. But I'm like, dude, the people who you're coaching don't want to do that stuff. They just want the outcome. They don't want to do all the work. They don't want to lift weights. They don't want to track their macros. They just want to look jacked. They want to look good naked, right? So we want to sell the outcome, not the vehicle. Massive distinction. You have to understand, right? Businesses don't want Facebook ads, okay? They want more qualified leads and front-end sales so they can scale. That's what you're really selling with Facebook ads. Businesses don't want email marketing, okay? They want a system to nurture leads and increase customer LTV so they can recoup ad spend and profit. That's like the benefit of email marketing. That's what you're really selling, right? Businesses don't want an appointment setter or a closer or a lead gen expert. They want a full calendar full of qualified sales calls, okay? So we want to sell the outcome, not vehicle. Super important. Next bit here, unique mechanism. I am a big believer that new is always better than better. What I mean by that is that if you're selling any kind of commodity, your earning potential is always going to be handcuffed by low price elasticity. What I mean by that is the services that are out there in the marketplace that are so saturated, think about SMMA or Instagram growth or Facebook ad agency. There's literally millions of them and your clients are getting like dozens of cold emails a day offering YouTube growth, YouTube thumbnails and this and that. And it's like, if you're selling that as a commodity, you're never going to be able to charge a super high amount because there's a set industry rate for those things. And if you're trying to charge twice as much, people are going to be like, well, I can just go over there, right? It's like if you open a cafe and you try to sell coffee for $20 when the average worldwide standard rate for a coffee is like $5, it's like, dude, no one's going to fucking buy your coffee, right? There's zero price elasticity there because they can just go down the street. So that is where having a unique mechanism comes in because you can put yourself in a category of one and position yourself as being something that's completely different from the alternative solutions. So when you position your service as a system and give it an interesting name, that is when you can actually increase your prices way more. You put yourself in a category of one and you separate yourself from the competition. So for example, my whole thing is, I'm the Gmail maverick, right? It's Gmail copywriting. All that really means is basically email copywriting with deliverability and automations, but the average person doesn't know what that is. So I call it Gmail copywriting because they're like, oh, I know Gmail. I didn't know I could make money with that. And it also catches the attention of copywriters because copywriters know what email copywriting is, but not Gmail copywriting. So it's intriguing to both of my target audiences. So that's mine, right? The investor acquisition formula, my inbox concierge model, the LTV maximizer, AOV amplifier. These are just basically shit that I made off the top of my head. These are a couple of my clients' ones. So again, like don't copy these, don't steal these. I'm just giving you examples. You can definitely workshop some name ideas with ChatGPT as well and just brainstorm a bunch of ideas. The whole point here is that like creating a unique mechanism is going to separate you from the competition. It's going to put you in a category of one. So if you think about like these three different offers, you know, which one's more appealing, right? Bronze, it's like, yeah, hey, I'll book you more qualified calls. Cool, whatever. There's 100 people in my inbox in the last 24 minutes that have said that. Silver would be like, I'll book you 12 qualified calls every month, guaranteed, or you don't pay. That's a little juicier. However, guys, 2024, 2025, kind of everyone's doing that. We need to step it up a little bit, right? Everyone's read Alex Hormozi's book. Everyone's sort of making these crazy offers. So we got to take it a step further. So a gold or even better edition of that would be something like, my automated profits email engine makes it impossible to not scale by booking 12 to 15 qualified sales calls a month on autopilot, guaranteed, or you don't pay, and I'll even give you $1,000 for wasting your time. Right, so you see how we combine the unique mechanism, we combine the bold offer and the guarantee all into one, and now that becomes, that's pretty sexy. I want to know more about that. See what I mean? That's how you catch people's attention. And the very last thing, we already talked about it, but it's worth repeating, and that is going to be your mafia offer. This is by far the number one needle mover. Any cold email outreach campaign, the offer itself is going to be the most important thing. There are really three ways that you can go about crafting a no-brainer, risk-free offer. So number one, simply having a very strong guarantee, right? For example, hey, if I don't get you X result, then you don't pay a cent, and I'll even book you in a 2-night, all expenses paid, stay at the Hilton or whatever, right? So a strong guarantee. Second way we can go about this is a free trial, right? Because that's risk-free. It's like, hey, let me come in 7 days. I'll write your emails for free. If you don't love the results, totally cool. We'll part ways as friends. You don't need to pay a cent. I just want to basically prove to myself, I want to prove to you first that I know what I'm doing before you pay me a cent, right? So that's a pretty risk-free offer as well. The third way that you can go about crafting a mafia offer is going to be a performance-based deal. So I generally don't recommend that you do this with copywriting, but that can be really good. That can be a really strong offer as well, where it's like, hey, just pay me 10% of every sale you make. That way, obviously it's very risk-free because it's like, if you don't make them sales, they don't pay, right? So that's three ways you can craft a mafia offer. There is the Dan, the goat of marketing, that right there, Dan Kennedy, famous for saying, he would have clients who would come to him and they would say like, oh man, my checkout page isn't converting. Is it because the checkout button is green instead of blue? And he would look at it and he'd be like, dude, it's the offer, stupid. AKA, no one wants what you're selling. So at the end of the day, the most important thing, sell shit that people want and your life's going to be much easier. Now, if you're wondering, how do I know? Is my offer good? Is it not? Here is the ultimate litmus test you can use to see essentially if your offer is going to cut through the noise or if it's just going to drown in the sea of mediocrity. Really, it's quite simple. You just want to put yourself in your prospect's shoes and ask yourself, hey, if I were a multi-million-dollar CEO, would I reply to this? That is it. Yes or no, right? The reason I'm able, me personally, to consistently produce winning cold email campaigns like clockwork, right? As you can see up here, all these testimonials, results, etc., that I went over at the very beginning of this training, where I talked about, Jay, and he was like, dude, how are you able to write these emails in a way that I can't believe that how do you always think of the best things to say? It amazes me, you're a wizard. It's because I am the target prospect. I am a multi-million-dollar CEO. So I'm just writing to myself, basically. So I'm using myself as a litmus test. Now, given you're watching this, I'm going to assume you're probably not, but that's totally fine. You could just pretend that you are, and just think, would I reply to this email if I was a super busy, super high-level CEO who got 100, 200, 500 cold emails a day? Would this get my attention? That is why the research phase is so crucial, okay? Because we want to hit on the specific pain points, desires, wants, and benefits. Always, always, always remember WM radio, okay? It's like one of the oldest things in marketing. All this simply means is what's in it for me. Human beings are selfish creatures, okay? So you always want to make your email about them, not about you. Hate to break it to you. No one cares about you. No one cares about your life story, about your experiences, about this and that. They just want to know what's in it for them. How can you help them? And communicate to them in the shortest amount of time possible. So a good ratio to aim for is you should at least talk about the prospect at least twice as much as you talk about yourself in the email. That's a good ratio to go by. Now, here's an alarming statistic that might surprise you. This absolutely shocked me when I heard this, but there are literally 347 billion with a B emails sent every single day around the globe. The average person receives 120 emails a day. Now imagine you're a high-level CEO and you're actively getting targeted with cold emails, how much higher that number would be. In the hundreds, if not thousands of emails a day. How are you going to stand out? The average open rate is about 20%, meaning 80% of 340 billion, I don't want to even do the maths, right? We'll just say tens of billions, if not hundreds of billions of emails a day literally are going to the graveyard to die. This is a live image right there of the graveyard of the billions of cold emails a day that go there to sit there and do nothing but die, okay? So let's make sure that your emails are not one of them. What I want to go over right now, as we're nearing the end, is 7 cold email killers that will completely destroy your results with your outreach campaigns. The first one is going to be excessive waffle, all right? You don't need to reveal every detail of your offer, of your mechanism, of your life story, okay? Spare all the irrelevant details, the pleasantries. Just focus on showing people how your offer will solve their pain points, give them proof, and a clear CTA. That is it. Every single word, every single sentence in your email must have a purpose. If it doesn't need to be there, cut it out. Shorter, the better. Okay? Now, there is an exception to this. Of course, I do have some longer cold emails, which have absolutely crushed because I have been writing copy for 6 years. And you know, this ain't my first rodeo. I'm kind of okay at this whole copywriting thing. So as Hormozy says, there's no such thing as too long, only too boring. So if you are a really good copywriter, you can get away with writing longer emails, but most people really aren't that good. So I would just try and keep it a bit shorter. Second cold email killer is complexity. You have to understand a confused prospect never buys. Clear is always better than clever. I see so many people trying to do these cute little clever analogies and stuff, and I'm reading it and it's like, dude, if I have to expend mental energy to try and translate this joke or to try and make it make sense or whatever, you've already lost me. It's like, dude, I've got 2 seconds to spend on this. If it's not immediately clear what you do, what you're offering, and what you want me to do next, I'm moving on. Done. So you need to make it extremely clear. Next is links and footers. So this is just more of a deliverability thing, but you have to understand that like links and images will really hurt your deliverability. They will increase the likelihood of your emails bouncing or even actually going to spam. So if you are going to use images, I definitely recommend that you embed them into the email instead of inserting them like as an attachment or whatever. There's a free tool. It's not free, but it's like very, very cheap. I think you can do like tens of thousands or thousands of images for like $4 or something. So that's what I'd recommend you use to embed emails and GIFs and that sort of thing in the email. So you can send over samples, website links. You know, links do have a time and place, but I wouldn't do it in your first email. All right? I would save those for the follow-up emails. Your first email ideally should have no links in it at all. Now, this also includes an unsubscribe link. I would not recommend that you actually include an unsubscribe link. We'll talk about that more in a second. So instead, what you want to do instead of sending over people links is your focus on your cold emails should really be about getting a reply. Okay, so this not only improves deliverability because it's a positive signal to Gmail and etc. You know that this person is interested in hearing from you. The more replies you get, you know, it's great for your domain reputation. But it also gives you time to go and write or film the thing that you promised. So if you're like, hey, I just filmed you a 3-minute Loom video on how to get out of the promotions tab, would you like me to send it over? wait for them, don't send it over, right? Wait for them to say yes. Then you actually have time to go and film the video and send it over. So it improves your deliverability and also allows you to do that. So that way you can do it automated rather than personalized. Remember, we want the email to look personal, like it was sent from your phone. That's kind of like the whole idea, right? So the whole like sent from my iPhone idea. So, if it's full of like links and footers and you have this big signature, people are going to look at it and like, man, this just looks like a marketing email, right? And it just gets lumped in the promotions category and they just move on. So we want to avoid that. And we talked in the last video about how you can actually use the exact phrase sent from my iPhone at the bottom of an email if it's short, and that works really well for some people. Next cold email killer is not pre-baking your cookies. What the hell do I mean by this? What's Sean talking about now? So I want you to imagine right now 2 different scenarios. Imagine I invited you to my house, right? I'm like, hey, what's up? Come chill at the pad, level 72 of Meriton Ocean Surfers Paradise. Beautiful oceanfront penthouse overlooking the entire southern hemisphere. We'll come chill, come have a drink. And then you walk in the door and I'm like, hey, what's up? Take your shoes off, make yourself comfortable. Would you like some water? Like, would you like me to bake you some cookies? You'd be like, no, what the fuck? Like, of course, I don't expect you to bake me cookies. You know what I mean? Like, please do not go out of your way to bake me cookies, right? Versus, imagine if same scenario, invited you over, you walk in the door, and I'm like, yo, what's up? So nice to see you. Hey, I knew you were coming over, so I actually went ahead and I baked you some cookies, and I hand you the tray of cookies. I'm like, would you like one? You're like, oh, well, dude, it would be almost rude. It would be, you would feel almost like an asshole to say no. It's like, oh my God, this guy's gone to the effort of baking me cookies. I have to take one at least out of just out of pure human decency. You know what I mean? So here's what I'm getting at. So what a lot of people do is they'll say hey, would you like me to write you some samples? Or would you like me to send, would you like me to make you a Loom video explaining it? And it's like, no, you have to understand how reciprocity works, right? We want to use reciprocity in our favor, not against us, right? So it's like, if you're like, hey, would you like me to write you some samples? You might think that's an irresistible no-brainer offer. I'm offering them free samples. But at the end of the day, it's like, no, the prospect in their mind, they're like, no, if this person goes to these lengths and these efforts to write these emails, I'm going to feel indebted towards them. I'm going to feel like in some way I owe them a favor. I owe them a return. I feel kind of sleazy, like they're going to write me these samples. I feel like I owe them something. And people would rather just avoid that scenario completely. And so it's much easier to say no. Right? So that's why when you're offering, hey, would you like me to send you some samples? It's why most people actually say no, okay? Because we don't want to feel indebted towards other people. It's hardwired into us. So we want to use that reciprocity in our favor, not against us. And the way that we do that is always framing it as if we've already done the thing. So it's like, hey, I don't normally do this, but I had a spare minute between client projects and, I love what you're about. So I went ahead and actually, I wrote you 3 free samples that you're free to use. Is it cool if I send you the link on here? Now it's like, now they read it and they're like, oh, fuck, wow, this guy, okay. Oh, he actually went to the effort of writing these samples. It's already done. It's in the past. It's like, okay, sure. Yeah. Send me what you wrote. And then of course you go and actually write them and send them over, right? That's the whole idea. That's the whole mentality. It might seem like a small detail, but it's a huge difference, right? There you go. There's a picture from 2079. That's actually me in the future with the plate of cookies, as you can tell, because I'm extremely handsome and charismatic and humble. Cold email killer number 5, and that is not using spin tags. What is spin tags? Let me explain. When you send the exact same email to thousands of people, that's likely going to eventually end you in spam, right? Now, if you think about it, if you're copy pasting and sending basically the same email to, 5,000 people, that is spamming people. That is literally the definition of spam, is sending the same thing to thousands of people, right? So to combat this, we can use a little trick in our sending software, which is called spin tags. Now, spin tags, it's kind of like a spin on words, play on words. It stands for spinning syntax. So what this allows us to do is actually add variation to each email while maintaining the original meaning of your message. So I'll give you an example. So the way this would look in instantly, in every sending software, if you use lemlist or whatever, the character is going to be a little bit different or whatever. But the general format is we're going to type in something like random and then 3, 4, 5, 10, whatever amount of different results that you want it to choose. It's simply going to select one of these at random for each person and then send that. So it's going to be random, hey, hi, what's up, first name. So it's just going to pick either one of these 3 at random. Now, these all have the same meaning, but it's going to add variation to your email, right? And I'll show you why this is important in a second. So it's like my random, friend, girlfriend, mom says her husky absolutely loves her new product name, right, from the CSV file. But when I went to search it, I couldn't find you on Google. I'm reaching out because recently I actually helped insert competitor rank #1 for insert specific Google search term, which drove specific result in specific time frame. And from the quick bit of research that I've done on insert company name from CSV file, I'm confident we can do the same for you. In fact, I've just put together a quick one-pager with some ideas that will immediately help you rank higher on Google. Random, cool if I swing it. Cool if I swing you the link on here. Mind if I send it over? Just say the word and I'll shoot it right over. So these 3 call to actions all have exactly the same meaning. You're asking for the same thing, but it's just phrased in a different way, right? And again, random, cheers, best, thanks. Again, all meaning the same thing for signing off an email. PS, don't tell competitor name I said this, but your product name is way random, cooler, sexier, more creative than theirs. Would love to help you hit that #1 rank where you belong. Winky face, right? So what have we actually done here? Like, what's the point? Well, if you think about it, we now have 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. If you think about random, there's #1, 3 variations, random, 3 variations again, down here, 3 variations again, 3 variations and 3 variations. So there's 5 times 3, 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 times 3, 343 variations of the exact same email. These all mean the exact same thing, but they're just phrased in different ways. And that is on top of all of these other customizations like their first name, product name, competitor name, and so on, right? So basically what this is doing is this is going to make sure that every single email that we send out is going to be completely unique to the person. And that is just going to help us avoid the spam filter. Because again, if we're sending the same email, thousands of times, Gmail's going to go, hey man, you're a spammer, throw you in spam. So that's a little workaround to get around spam. Definitely want to make sure you're using Spintax. Number 6, we're nearly there. This is low volume. You would be absolutely amazed. All right, I've been doing this every day for the last 6 years, and this is probably one of the biggest killers. People come to me and they say, hey man, I used to swipe emails and they didn't work. And I go, oh yeah, all right, fine. How many emails did you send? And they're like, oh yeah, I sent like 12 emails. It's like, guys, you have to realize, come on, cold outreach is a numbers game. We literally covered the diagram at the start. Like only 3% of the entire market is even looking to buy at the moment right now, right? Now, quick story from Alex Hormozy, which I think demonstrates this perfectly. He had a mentor at some stage in his life, right? And he tells the story of how his mentor recommended that he send flyers. He was like, oh bro, I should put out flyers on people's windscreens and in their post boxes. Flyers work super well. And Alex goes, okay, I'll try flyers. And so he printed and posted 300 flyers. And he's like, dude, I only got 1 call back. Like, what the hell? Like, this didn't work. Like, you told me flyers worked. And the mentor turns to him and he says, well, how many flyers did you put out? And Alex says, 300. And the mentor just laughs and he goes, dude, we literally test with 5,000 before we even decide if it's worth pursuing or not. And then we send 5,000 a day after that. Like, we send 150,000 flyers a month. You only sent 300. And then Alex was like, huh. So his big takeaway from that is like, maybe I am doing the right thing, I'm just not doing enough of it. And I never want to let not doing enough be the reason that I don't succeed at something, right? So you have to understand, again, this all comes down to numbers. Like, your average reply rate is going to be somewhere between 1 and 10%. Your average meeting booked rate is going to be about 0.5%. Your average show up rate on your sales calls is going to be probably like 70%. Your average close rate on the phone, depending on your ability, is probably like 20 to 30%. If you're in CMB, it's probably like 40, 50% or higher, right? Because we have insane scripts that are proven. On average, people need at least like 8 touch points before they buy. You have to remember that. Like, why do you think Coca-Cola, McDonald's continue to advertise? Every fucking human being on earth knows that Coca-Cola and McDonald's exist. Like, why do they even bother running ads and putting up billboards? It's because people need on average at least 8 touch points before they decide to buy something. So the more you see McDonald's, Coke, it's in your brain, it's in your subconscious, you make a subconscious decision to buy, okay? So this is why follow-up is so key. So my recommendation is if you have sent 2,500 email sequences, then and only then, if you have still not closed the client, then you can revisit your offer and your lead list and your targeting and your copy and so on, okay? I see so many people and they're like, oh, this doesn't work. I sent 100 cold emails, your system doesn't work. It's like, dude, you've barely even scratched the surface, right? So I think people drastically underestimate how much volume is needed. And the whole point of this is it's fully automated. You don't need to do this personally. We're not sending 2,500 emails one at a time, right? This is mass scraping, mass sending, and there's really no excuse why you can't send thousands and thousands of emails. Remember, ultimately, the money is in the follow-up. 8 touch points, like we mentioned, most of your sales, most of your replies, your calls booked, they're not going to come from the first email. People have just heard of you, just like entered their inbox as a stranger. Most, if not all, of your calls booked and follow-ups and sales are always going to come from the follow-up sequence. It is that important, okay? So make sure we're following up. Now, having said that, the other extreme of that is when people do follow-ups is that typically the way that they go about it is really flogging a dead horse, okay? As the saying goes, if you're trying to get a horse to, ride faster, if it's already dead, you're flogging a fucking dead horse. It's not going to go any faster. It's already dead, right? So here's the truth. If your prospect doesn't reply to your email, which is 99% of the time, okay? It means one of 3 things. Either they haven't read your email, which is fairly likely. Average open rate on cold email is actually around like 50 to 70% if you're doing it right, if you have good subject lines. But there's a chance they just haven't even seen your email, right? Second reason is they did open your email. They meant to reply, it seemed pretty intriguing, but they got distracted, right? We live in a fucking super ADD world. It's like they got another email and it's like, oh my God, one of their employees is underperforming, or their ad cost just doubled, or their dog starts barking, or there's a knock on the door. There's a million and one things. They get a phone call, whatever. Now, all of a sudden, boom, your email's gone. They're distracted. So they meant to reply, but they got busy, right? Or option 3 is they did read your email, but your offer, frankly, was just not compelling enough to elicit a reply. You have to understand, if that is the case, no response is a response. Okay, them choosing to not respond, to not reply, is literally a reply. It is them saying, no, this didn't interest me enough to actually bother replying to you, okay? So rather than flogging a dead horse, oh my God, how many email sequences have I reviewed where people, their entire follow-up sequence is just like, hey, Sean, just seeing if you got my last email. Sean, question mark, you there? Question mark. Hey, just circling back. It's like, dude, I saw your email, I read it, and frankly, it just didn't appeal to me enough to bother replying. So rather than just flogging the same angle again and again, like try something else. You know what I mean? Like the most successful marketers in the world, right? You see these guys, 8 figures, 9 figures, billionaires, and so on. The reason these guys are so big and they do so well is because they literally test 100 times more stuff than everyone else. That is the ultimate secret. Let me save you $60,000 right now. Do you know how many $60,000 masterminds I've signed up for? Really high ticket coaching programs. And I'm expecting to learn like the ultimate secret to success and how to make $10 million a year and so on. Guess what all of them say? They're all like, yeah, we just test more stuff than everyone else. That's why we're so big. So just test more stuff. That's it. That's the big secret. You test 100 things, guaranteed one of them is going to pop off, right? You post like 100 videos, one of them is probably going to go viral, right? So it's just testing. So you want to A/B test different angles, different offers, different guarantees, different pain points, benefits, proof, lead magnets, case studies, first lines, jokes, ideas, images, copy, subject lines, PSs, all that stuff, right? In both your initial email and also your follow-ups as well. So you gotta remember, like your follow-up emails, it's valuable real estate. Like don't waste it by simply sending 5 of the same, hey, just making sure you got this email, right? It's like you have additional opportunities to add more information, add more value, bring different angles and ideas to the table. If they didn't reply to the first one, it's probably just because it didn't appeal to them. So it's like, dude, try a different angle. So those are the 7 big cold email killers. To wrap this up, we've been going for nearly 3 fucking hours right now. This is insane. It is nearly 9 a.m. I literally need to leave for the airport in 30 minutes. So FAQ number 1, do you need to include an unsubscribe link? This is a common question a lot of people have. And I want to clear this up for you right now because it is a bit of a gray area. The truth is, at least as of right now, this could change in the future. It could change depending on where you live. I'm not a lawyer. This is not legal advice. If you get sued, if you get a $50,000 fine, don't come after me. Not my fault. I am releasing myself from all obligations and liabilities. But the general consensus is no, as of right now, May 2024, no, you do not legally need to include an unsubscribe link. However, on cold emails, right? On cold emails, you don't legally need to include an unsubscribe link. Because if you think about it, they didn't opt into your list. So it doesn't even make sense to have an unsubscribe link because they didn't subscribe to anything, right? However, the Can Spam Act law, right? And the GDPR laws do require that you include some sort of way to opt out. So there has to be some sort of opt out language in your email. That is the only thing that's necessary. So rather than kind of doing what most people do, which is like, in the PS, they might say, click here to stop receiving these emails or something, fucking boring like that. Instead of trying to hide it in tiny font or whatever, if you can't fix it, feature it. So have fun with it, get creative, right? So in your PS, you could say like, hey, if you hate the idea of making an extra 10 to 30K a month from your list with zero effort or ad spend from your part, feel free to tell me to beat it and you'll never hear from me again. Or, hey, PS, if you want to ruin my day, reply with the word stop and I'll instantly vanish into a frozen abyss, never to be seen again, right? Or, hey, reply with the word stop and I'll immediately stop sending emails. I do have to warn you though, for some reason, unbeknownst to me, every time someone replies with the word stop, there's a giant foam hand which reaches out of the screen and slaps me across the face. And my right cheek is getting really sore. So if you could please spare my right cheek, I'd really appreciate it, right? Come up with whatever nonsense you want. But the point is, have fun, get creative with it. There's just a certain mental image that they get when they're kind of imagining it's like, it just shows there's another human being on the other end of this email. It takes it from this corporate salesy pitchy thing to, it's just a guy. It's like there's an actual person there. They're having fun with it. It's like this foam hand hitting them over the face. And so, a lot of them will think twice about unsubscribing and they'll be like, this guy's actually pretty cool. Let me reply, right? One law that you do have to comply with is you do have to include a physical address at the bottom of your emails if you are sending marketing emails, like pitching emails, which pretty much we are, right? To comply with the Can Spam Act. Otherwise, you can be fined up to $50,000, which is probably out of budget for 99% of people watching this. So we don't want that to happen. And of course, like last thing, if someone asks you to stop emailing them, if they say anything along the lines of stop emailing me, not interested, piss off, fuck off, that sort of thing, don't be a dickhead, just remove them from your list. Not only is that legally mandatory, like you have to remove them from your list within, I believe it's 10 days, but realistically, it's like, what are the chances of them actually working with you as a client? Very low, right? You'd much rather spend that time and effort and energy contacting someone else who could be interested than trying to turn a no into a yes, right? So, second frequently asked question, what subject lines actually work the best? Let's talk about subject lines for a second. As we know with copywriting, right? You're a copywriter, hopefully, you should know this. So the whole aim of copywriting is always to sell the next step, right? So the goal of the subject line is to get someone to open the email. The goal of the first line of the email is to get them to read the second line. The goal of the second line is to get them to read the third line, so on and so on and so on until The goal is to get them to click the link. The goal, when they click the link, they go to the sales page. The goal of the headline, again, is to get them to watch the VSL. The goal of the hook of the VSL is to get them to watch, the first 10 seconds and then the next 10 seconds and so on and so on and so on, right? It's like little bit by little bit, these tiny micro commitments. That's how you end up, on this fucking VSL, and it's like, in the next 30 seconds, I'm going to show you the honey jar trick to make the woman of your dreams fall in love with you. And then before you know it, 45 minutes have gone by and you're pulling out your credit card and you're buying something, okay? That's good copy, okay? We're trying to sell the next step. So with our subject lines, okay, we want to evoke curiosity, but we can't use blatant clickbait, okay? Not only is that actually illegal against the Can Spam Act, it's just generally like kind of sleazy, not a good practice. So the best performing subject lines, as proven by Instantly and cold email tools who have sent literally tens of millions of cold emails, are always short, they're casual, and they're personalized to the prospect. So just some examples here. Hey, name, question for name, thoughts, name, is this you, right? And you can have a picture of them or something like that. AI generated picture, which in CMB we have tools to do that, as you guys know. Name X your name, right? So if their name was Sam X Sean, that one for whatever reason gets like an 80-90% open rate, really good. These two here, name X your name and name thoughts, are actually currently the highest performing open rates of any subject lines. Take that one to the bank. Competitor sent me, right? Pretty intriguing. Question about company. Is company still accepting new clients? Question about niche specific thing, right? So obviously, like if they're like a real estate mogul, agent, whatever, question about Sydney real estate, that sort of stuff. The whole point is just to try and keep it like casual and personalized. Likewise, with your pre-header, with the first line, remember, like that is going to show in the inbox, right? The first, I don't know how many words, 50, 60 words or whatever of your email is going to show in the preview header. In that preview text in Gmail, it's going to come up. They're going to see that little snippet. So, you want to be mindful of that and either write a specific pre-header that is personalized or keep it blank using this bit of computer code here. That basically is computer code for blank. So it'll just leave it blank. So, it kind of creates a bit of mystery. They'll have to open the email to see what it is. It's also why we usually begin the email with a personalized first line, because again, it shows them that it's just for them. Commonly asked question number 3. We're nearly there, guys. We're nearly at the end. How many follow-up emails should you send? So obviously, the more follow-ups you send, the more replies you're going to get, right? It's just common sense. However, there's a balance here. It's not that simple. Follow-ups also count towards your total daily sending volume. So we know from our domains, like we talked about at the beginning, with each domain you have, you can only send a maximum of like 50 to 100 emails a day. Now, if you're sending, imagine an extreme scenario, right? Where you have like 100 email campaign, right? If you're sending 100 emails a day, that means only one of those emails can be dedicated towards contacting someone new, and 99 emails would be dedicated towards following up. Okay, so it would take you literally forever, 5,000 days to get through 5,000 prospects. So that's the trade-off, right? It just slows down our ability to contact new people. Of course, you can just buy more domains, but that starts to get expensive. So extensive testing has really shown, this is shown in our tests, in industry-wide tests. Generally, the consensus is that after about 4 follow-ups, your response rate will really start to drop off dramatically. So if someone hasn't responded to 4 or 5 emails, the chance that they'll respond to email 6, 7, 8, and so on, it's really super low. So for these reasons, I do recommend that you go with a 5 email sequence. That's my recommendation. Also, super convenient that if you actually look at the Instantly plan, as of right now anyway, maybe it'll change in the future, but you get 25,000 contacts and 125,000 emails a month, which is exactly 5 emails per person. So it also fits in pretty well as well. So that's my recommendation, 5 to 6, no more than that, no less. Now, quick note, if someone does reply, they express any kind of interest, positive reply whatsoever, follow up literally relentlessly every 3 business days, forever, for the rest of time, until they either book a call or they block you, okay? Any interest, you want to manually follow up, keep in touch, keep providing value, keep providing, new angles, new ideas, new strategies for them until they book a call or they like literally block you, okay? Hot leads, definitely follow up forever until you get the sale. So putting this all together, what does this look like? Here is a 5 email sequence 5 email sequence that I would recommend you run with. First one is going to be the winning cold email formula that we went over in the last training, in the last module, in module 5. It should look a little bit like this. We covered 2 separate formulas. So formula 1, if you have experience, results, and case studies, this is essentially the template that you're going to use. It works perfectly fine for automated outreach as well. And formula 2, if you have no experience, track record, or results, you're going to use this version here. Okay. So if you haven't seen that, go back, watch the last training. That is the sequence. That's the email I'd recommend you use for email 1. Email 2 is going to be a same thread bump. So what this means is you're going to leave the subject line blank. So it's going to send within the same thread as the first email, and you just want to bump it. So I know I said before, you don't want to make all your follow-ups like, hey, just checking in, making sure you got your email, making sure you got my email, blah, 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 right? If all your follow-ups are just that, then it's just, you're just an annoying pest. However, it's definitely okay to do that at least once. I would simply make that email 2. Keep it short, keep it simple, something along the lines of like, hey, just making sure you got this, or add new information. Hey, totally forgot to mention, you can check out some samples and testimonials on my website here. Boom, link to website. 1 sentence email, keep it simple. Emails 3 and 4, we're just gonna test a different angle, different offer, different guarantee, or a different lead magnet as well, like we talked in the previous video. Lead magnets, super powerful, absolutely one of the best ways to get replies. You said, hey, I just put together this free resource for you. Here it is. I want you to have it, use it, test it, make a bunch of money with it. Providing tons of value up front works super well. So these emails right here are your opportunity to experiment with different angles and ideas. And then finally, email 5, that is going to be what we call the breakup email. So this email essentially is along the lines of, hey Sam, apologies if I jumped the gun and assumed that you're ready to make an extra 20K a month on total autopilot without any additional work or ad spend on your part. My intent is not to be a pain, so this is going to be my last follow-up. I'm not going to send you any more emails. If anything changes in the future and you like the idea of making an additional 5 figures a month on autopilot, feel free to flick me an email and let me know. If not, totally fine, no hard feelings. In fact, here's a free lead magnet, cheat sheet, checklist. Use it, take it, steal it, make a bunch of money with it. And then hopefully, one day maybe we can come back and work together. I love what you're about. Still going to be cheering for you from the sidelines. Keep kicking ass. See you later, Sean. That would be like an example of the breakup email. Now this one works really, really well. This will probably be your most replied to email for the simple reason of the fact that humans are natural procrastinators, right? We always leave things until the last possible minute. Hence me filming this at 9 a.m. when I have to leave for the airport in 20 minutes. So you'll get a lot of replies, a lot of people coming back to you and saying, oh, hey, yeah, sorry, I was busy. I meant to reply, blah, blah, blah. And then this is kind of like the Hail Mary, the one that gets them to reply. Okay. Now, in terms of like actual copy, like what you write in the email, the structures, the scripts, and so on. Obviously, if you're in CMB, then refer to the swipes that I've given you in module 5. We have tons of plug and play emails that you can use. Or alternatively, my done for you winning cold email swipes pack. If you want proven fill in the blank scripts that you can copy, tweak, send, and profit. I can't show you this here. I mean, guys, I've just given you 3 hours straight of value. I can't give you absolutely everything. I do have to hold some stuff for my paying clients, right? Otherwise, they're going to be kind of pissed off that I've just given everything away for free. And if you're wondering, where can you get your hands on this? What is this winning cold email swipes? Well, let me explain. This right here, the Client Getting Bible for Copywriters. This is a bit of a hidden secret. This is actually a book. Surprise, surprise. You may or may not know this, but I am actually an unpublished author. I wrote a book about 3 years ago, 2021. It's called The Client Getting Bible for Copywriters. Fully written, 100% done. I recorded the entire audiobook myself. The whole thing was finished, edited, ready for release. And then this motherfucker called Alex Hormozi released his book, $100 Million Offers. Alan Sultanich came up with his book, Automatic Clients. And immediately, I just felt like shit. I was like, dude, the bar has been raised so high for what a book needs to be. And I went from being really proud of this book to absolutely ashamed by how high they had set the bar. And so I actually decided not to release it. So I'm now going to be rewriting literally the entire thing from scratch to make it as valuable as humanly possible to meet my extremely high standards before I release it. So when I do release the book, maybe it's already out and you already bought it by the time you're watching this. But my done for you winning cold email swipes is going to be one of the upsells that you can purchase when you buy the book. And that is going to give you all of my proven fill in the blank, plug and play, copy paste scripts that you can literally just take, tweak them, send them out and profit, plug them straight into this machine and start booking calls from day one. Just like you saw, all these testimonials up here, they all came from cold outreach. Everyone's saying, dude, how are your emails so good? How do they work so well? Right? Rewrote Jace's email sequence, booked a call the very next day, closed a client for $3K a month, like literally 2 days later. All these people getting booms, 1,300, 5K a month, 4,000 a month, 10K a month, 20K a month, 21K a month, so on and so on. Those all came from the exact email swipes that are in that pack. So if you'd like access to that pack, feel free to buy the upsell for whatever it's selling for. I haven't decided yet, probably like $197 or something like that. But I mean, I'm sure we can probably agree that trading $197 for, 4K a month, 20K a month, it's probably a worthwhile trade. So I'd recommend you go ahead and grab that when the book goes live. Now, final pro tip, before you send your emails, before you set your campaign to be live, I thoroughly recommend you run your email copy through the 3 following tools. Good news is, these are all 100% free. First one, very simple, Grammarly. If you're not using this, I would even question if you're a copywriter. Definitely a must-have for absolutely everyone. It is a free spell and grammar check tool. You've seen these prompts coming up throughout the entire presentation that I've run. It's been correcting my spelling and grammar. Okay, absolute must. Guys, if you're selling copywriting as a service, you're spelling shit wrong, you have grammar mistakes, like no one's gonna take you seriously. You're a fucking clown, okay? So like at the bare minimum, you need to get that right, and that's gonna help you catch anything you might have missed. Second tool, it's called Hemingway app. This is a absolutely fantastic readability checker, copy paste to copy into here, and it's essentially going to suggest recommendations for making it read more simple. And the lower that you can get your grade reading level, the better. So ideally you want to aim for like grade reading level 5, but really like the lower you can get it, the better. Anywhere between like sort of 4 and 6, 5, even 7 is totally cool. But the lower the better, the higher it will convert. Okay, the best converting copy of all time. It's not flowery, complex, university level language. It's always the most simple. Third tool right here, it's another free tool, and it's what I mentioned before, Mail Meteor. This is a free spam trigger word checker. So copy paste all your emails into here, and it's gonna flag specific words and phrases that you might be using. For example, guaranteed or ASAP or 5% or certain revenue numbers, and basically gonna give you recommendations to fix that wording to prevent you going to spam and triggering Gmail's spam filters. So, we have covered a lot of ground, guys. Final step of our process here. We made it all the way to the end. Step 6, send. We're going to load into your automated outreach sending machine. We're going to load these emails into Instantly, and we're going to launch. Now, I want you to pay attention for a second. This is super high level, super complicated. Make sure you don't mess it up. What we're going to do, we're going to go into Instantly. You're going to go to the button and you're going to press it and turn it on. Mind blowing. I know, super complex. That's what we're going to do. We're going to launch our sequence, okay? Make the sequence go live, right? All jokes aside, quick settings that I recommend that you turn on. Number 1 is you want to send your settings generally to be Monday to Friday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. with follow-ups every 3 business days. That's a general rule of thumb. Feel free to play around with that, but generally that is what tends to work the best. You want to start with about 20 to 30 emails a day after the 14 days we've warmed them up, okay, per domain. And you're going to manually increase that by 5 to 10 every single week until you're sending 50 to 100 emails per day per domain. So set a reminder in your phone, in your calendar, come in every Monday into Instantly and manually increase that number of how many emails you're sending. Okay, so you're simply going to go right here, click your domain, go to settings, scroll down, and then right there, just change the daily campaign limit, and you're going to increase that by 5 to 10 for each of the domains that you have right there, all the way up to a maximum of 50 to 100 emails a day per domain. Now, super important, make sure you keep an eye on your dashboard, okay? You want to make sure your numbers look healthy, right? If all of a sudden, your open rates start to tank from, maybe they were 70% and all of a sudden they're 30%, that's obviously an indicator that something's horribly gone wrong. You're probably going to the promotions tab. There's some deliverability issues. So, you want to look into that, make sure you fix it, and probably lower your sending volume as well. But if everything's healthy, if you followed all these steps, you have high domain reputation, you're using spin tags, using all these strategies, you should be able to push it as high as 100 emails a day per domain. Definitely no more than that. And as I mentioned, if you send 2,500 emails and you still don't manage to land a client, then you definitely want to consider revisiting your offer, revisiting your niche, your lead list, and work out what's gone wrong, okay? But don't change anything until you send at least a couple thousand emails. It's too early to call it. So, that brings us to the end. So quick summary of everything that we've covered over the last 3 hours. This has been an absolute beast of a training. Step 1, stack, right? We want to build your cold email tech stack. Buy 5 standing domains in GoDaddy, connect them to Google Workspace, set up your DNS records, warm your sending domains in instantly 14 days, ready to rock and roll. On to step 2. Search. We want to research your ideal target prospect. Okay, so you want to choose your niche, choose your service, research your ICP, okay, your ideal customer profile, and fill out the 4 forces diagram. You want to craft your offer, craft your guarantee, then we're ready for step 3. You want to mass scrape a lead list of target prospects. Scrape that lead list using either LinkedIn Sales Nav, Apollo, or Instantly Lead Finder. Experiment with a bunch of different filtering settings until you essentially have a list of around 5,000, 10,000, 15,000 targeted leads. And then that is niche enough where you're ready to go. On to the next step. We're going to screen, we're going to extract them, filter them, format that data. Okay, we want to extract their emails using a tool like Find Email, verify all the emails using a list validation tool. We want to upload the CSV file into Instantly, clean the file, super important, right? Use those AI prompts, make sure we're cleaning up the first name, the company name, and so on. Review the lead list for accuracy. Okay, don't just trust that the AI prompts work, like actually use your brain, like, spend a bit of time reviewing the results. AI is never perfect, okay? So make sure that it actually reads well, like something you would actually say in an email. Step 5, write your 5 email outreach sequence, okay, following my proven framework that we went over in the last module. Of course, if you're in CMB, if you have the swipes, then just use what's already proven, use what's already working, which I've given you, okay? Plug and play. Add spin tags to it to add that variation. Run your copy through those 3 tools, Grammarly, Hemingway app, and Mail Meteor. And then step 6, load into the automated sending software and launch that bad boy into outer space. You want to run your campaign, monitor the results, optimize the offer, the guarantee, the copy if necessary, okay, if you need to. And then a bonus, step 7, okay. I could have called this 7 steps to 7 figures, but I realized most of my target audiences are not quite there yet. So the 7th S, that is going to be scale. This is actually, it's kind of funny how many people kind of forget to do this. They achieve so much success and they make like 200 grand a year doing this. And they're like, wow, that works so well. And then they stop. And it's like, no, bro, keep going, right? So there's literally like no limit to how far you can scale this. Keep your winning angles and then split test them against new angles. So keep trying to beat your control, as we call it in copy, right? The one that is working the best, the email angle that's working the best, that is called your control. You want to try and beat it. So split test it against other new angles, new ideas, case studies, lead magnets, etc. See if you can do even better. And then literally just rinse and repeat. Get more leads, sign back up for Instantly, follow LinkedIn Sales Nav, generate another batch of 5 to 10,000 leads. Do the entire thing again, right? Buy another 5 domains. Now instead of sending 100 domains each times 500. Now you have 10 domains. You're sending 1,000 emails a day. Okay, this is how you scale, right? Then come back, right? We talked about the larger market formula. Only about 3 to 5% of people in any given market are actually looking to buy right now. So why would you not circle back 3 months later, 6 months later, 9 months later, 12 months later? Eventually, they are going to be in the now buyer category, and it would be absolutely foolish of us to only contact them once and never again, okay? So every 3 months, write and send a fresh, new 5 email sequence to all of the old leads you contacted before, right? Assuming that they didn't opt out or tell you to fuck off, right? Because who knows? Maybe back then they didn't need a copywriter, but right now they actually do need a copywriter. It's good timing. As I mentioned, cold outreach, quite literally, it is a game of timing. And then rinse and repeat until you are literally so rich that Elon Musk himself asks you to mentor him, okay? Until he literally cries like a child. He's so embarrassed of how much money you've made, okay? And of course, at that point, you can consider starting an agency if you're wondering like how do you actually scale from like copywriter, beyond 15, 20K a month, obviously there's a cap, there's a limit to how many clients you can take on, right? So like in TMB, for example, we have, I think it's like 6 or even 7 people at the moment who are earning 7 figures, over $1 million a year. And it's because they've started an agency, launched their own offer, and they've scaled up that way. Okay. So you can consider that once you reach the point of, your maximum capacity, 15, 20K a month, you can't take on more clients. That's how you scale. Final bit of motivation for you. Actually, I think this will be really helpful for you to know. This is actually what the journey to 10K a month looks like. So if we break this down into numbers, I promise you it's actually a lot more achievable than you might think. So real quick to finish off, let's crunch some numbers. So let's say your goal right now, given you're watching this, is probably 10K a month, right? So we're going to assume that's 3 clients at around 3K a month each. Yes, I know that's 9K a month. Sue me. I was a fucking mechanical engineer. I understand 3 times 3 is 9. Okay. Just upsell one of your clients to a 4K a month service or sign another client for 1K or 2K or whatever. It's generally around the same ballpark. It's still 6 figures. Okay. So basically we want to make a 6-figure income run rate within 90 days. That's the goal. So 3 clients at 3K a month each. Now, let's just say you have an average close rate of about 30%, right? If you're in CMB, if you have our proven scripts, it's probably more like 50, 60% because our scripts are on point, right? If you're a savage closer like me, your closing rate's probably like 80, 90% because they're all inbound leads. But anyway, we'll pretend it's 30% industry average. So to close 3 clients, that means you need to book 10 calls, right? Makes sense. 30% of 10 is 3. So we're going to go with an average industry standard show up rate of about 70%. So that is going to mean in order to actually have 10 calls happen, we need to book about 14 and then 10 will show up. Now, the industry standard meeting booked rate, like I mentioned before, is around 0.5%. So what that's going to mean is we need to contact 200 people in order to book 1 call. So running the numbers, 14 calls times we need to contact 200 people to book 1 call. Well, 14 times 200 is 2,800 people that we need to reach out to. So if we want to hit 10K a month within 90 days, all we need to do is we need to send 2,800 divided by 64. 64 is the amount of business days in 90 days, if you're wondering. So I'm just not including weekends. So 2,800 divided by 64 business days equals we need to reach out to 44 new people a day. That's all it comes down to. Now, assuming a 5 email sequence, all that means is we need to send 220 emails a day. How do I come to that number? Very simple. Remember, your follow-ups are included in your total sending volume. So if we're reaching out to 44 new people a day, 44 times 5 equals 220. So that is going to mean out of our total sending volume of 220, 1/5 of 220 is 44. Right? That's the 44 new people a day. And if it's a 5 email sequence, that means 4/5 of our sending volume are going to be dedicated towards following up, meaning that's 176 follow-ups a day, right? So that's why, you can see why we wouldn't want like a 10 to 20 email sequence because that would limit this number here. So if we're going to warm up, if we're going to start at 30 emails a day, warm it all the way up to 100 emails a day per domain over the course of 8 weeks, adding 10 per week per domain all the way up to 100 with 5 domains, meaning at our maximum capacity, we are going to be sending 500 emails a day. So we can realistically expect to hit $10,000 a month income run rate within 90 days with only the automated email approach, as hopefully I've just shown you in case I haven't lost you already with these numbers. Let me get to the bottom line here. The coolest part of all of this is the amount of money that you make and how quickly you make it is literally 100% within your control. I want that to really sink in. At literally no job or business or anything is this possible. You want to make 5K a month? Send 50 emails a day. You want to make 10K a month? Send 100 emails a day. You want to make 20K a month? Send 200 emails a day. You want to make $100,000 a month? You send 1,000 emails a day. You want to make $1 million a month? I have friends that run multiple $1 million a month agencies. They send 10,000 plus emails a day. They have 200 sending domains. Like I mentioned, this is quite literally scalable. As high as you want to take it, there is absolutely no limits. Your only limit is your ambition. So with that said, armed with that knowledge, go forth, my friend, and conquer. That'll do it for this absolute beast of a training. And in the next installment, we're going to be talking about what do you actually do when you get people replying? When prospects are like, yeah, I'm interested. How do you take that interest into a booked call, into a closed client? That is what we're going to be covering in the upcoming modules. So stay tuned, look out for them, go through them. Hopefully this is valuable for you. My goal was to make this one of the most valuable trainings on the internet. And I really hope I have succeeded with that promise. So mad love to you. Get out there, implement this stuff, make a bunch of money, and I'll see you in the next training.